you to stop in like, why did you not do it a few minutes ago then?
All right, I'm already on now, so when I finish, I'll call you, okay?
It will take long.
It's not going to take long. Maybe,
How many minutes?
maybe 2 hours.
What? That's going to take more.
Okay. I won't stay long. Okay?
You have to finish it at 10 minutes.
I'll try.
You have to finish it at 10 minutes.
I'll try.
You have to finish it at 10 minutes.
I'll try.
You have to finish it at 10 minutes.
I'll try.
You have to finish it at 10 minutes.
I'll try. Mo kí gbogbo wa pé a kábọ̀ sórí ètò wa. A very good afternoon and welcome to Koikimedia Live. The 8th of the month of June 2024, and another beautiful program that we are about to kickstart. Today's program is going to be more in English because of many of my audience around the world that I want to make sure that they can also understand what I'm going to be discussing. It's going to be a live program, so that means I will pick along the line your comments and others as well. So let's start with this, as I am getting a feed that came just about some few hours ago from the leader of the Yoruba self-determination, Professor Adebanji Akitoye, and also our leader, Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho. The video is just coming into circulation, but I've been able to pick one or two areas that I want us to discuss in that particular clip. So let us listen to this. Is a video, but it has been converted to audio. So if you're listening to this, the video is already on all the platforms, all the medias have already picked on it. And we appreciate, our leaders as they continue to guide and also make sure that they can, direct us to exactly, what is important when it comes to, this movement. This movement remains organic. This movement remains, what it's meant to be. And we should not have it at the back of our mind that this movement is dead. Yoruba Nation movement is still very much alive. Nothing has happened to the movement, for the benefit of those of you that have probably been concerned about the movement. So this movement hasn't changed. Nothing has changed in the movement. It is still the movement that you knew some few years back. So let us listen to Professor Adebanji Akitoye, but apparently this was Olóyè speaking at Benin Republic.
Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kárí tàn rẹ̀ pa ọjọ́ tá èmi máa ń sọ Ọlọ́run ló mọ̀ ní ẹ̀ bá ń bú wa ní ìsìn ó ń bú Ọlọ́run tó gbogbo náà sì mọ̀ sí Ọlọ́run ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ orúkọ mi ní Sunday ọjọ́ ìsinmi náà bí mi èèyàn ọ̀dẹ̀ ní bá sinmi ìjà kó sinmi láyé èèyàn ọ̀dẹ̀ ní kú sinmi kó sinmi Ọlọ́run tó dá mi lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi ọlọ́mọ tó rí ọlọ́mọ ohun èrò ọkàn rẹ̀ tó fi ní wálé ayé ọwọ́ àpinnu bàbá tó jẹ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n pòfẹ́sọ̀ ni o kí èsì àfẹnujẹ́ ó fi wọ́n ti àwọn ìṣèlú gẹ́gẹ́ gíìtì wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ fún mi bàbá ṣiṣẹ́ fún pòfẹ́sọ̀ yìí àti ìhùn àti bàbá wa ṣàdéhùn pé bí Sunday ọba bọ́ọ̀lù ẹnu ẹ̀wọ̀n ní kòtò fún mi kò rí bàbá ní bàbá ní ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ọba gbà fún bàbá bẹ́ẹ̀ Ọlọ́run nígbà fún yẹn àṣírí ó gbà fún bàbá kí tètè pátápátá àìmọ́ ìyẹn wọ́n ti fẹ́ já gbogbo lẹ́yìn bàbá mi ò lè ṣe é já torí mi ò kí dalẹ̀ yẹn kábíyèsí Ọlọ́run tí ẹ bá dúró tì mí èmi ní òdùn tì mí ẹ̀tọ́ bá dúró tì mí là dúró tì mí bàbá dúró tì mí ilé rẹ̀ wọ̀ ohun tí bàbá rẹ̀ fẹ́ ilé wọn fẹ́ ohun tí bàbá rẹ̀ fẹ́ ni pé kàgbà orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá ní Yorùbá ó kò lè kó ẹ gbogbo ẹ mímí àtàyè lórí tó ti bàbá káwọn ẹ̀ kó ló kó ẹ. àṣẹ wà á wọ́n sọ ọmọ lóòkú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àní sí ó yẹ ojú nílẹ̀ nǹkan wò yìí òun bọ̀ wá ibẹ̀ ẹni tí ó ròyìn kò ní kó sójú ogun ẹni tó bá ń jagun lọ gbogbo kíkọ́ lágbára wọn sẹ́ o tẹ́ ẹ bá ń jagun kan lọ tó wá fẹ́ yíwọ́ tẹ́ ẹ fọgbọ́n sí kẹ́ ẹ bá lè jà mí tẹ́ ẹ bá kó sójú ogun kò ní jà mí àwọn ẹ̀dẹ́ kó sógun àṣẹ òun àní kó sógun gbogbo ẹni tí máa ń kó wa òkú ọlọ́run ni ẹ má dà ọ́ lóhùn ẹ bá fẹ́ kó wa òun ọlọ́run àwọn òní tẹ́ pẹ̀ fúnyà àdẹ̀lẹ́ fúnyà wọ́n bá kó wa òun ọlọ́run ohun táwa ń sọ yóò padà yé yín ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ kẹta àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ń sìn ọdún ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ adé nàìjíríà yìí ti tẹ́lẹ̀ ẹni náà fẹ́ẹ́ wá tọ̀ pé àpọ̀ ìzọ́ọ̀bù ẹ̀ peacefully ẹ̀gbà ẹ̀kú wa ẹ̀sìn wọn àwọn ẹ̀gbẹ́ náà ní ṣẹlẹ̀ gàrí kórúkọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ti dàrú èmi náà sì máa ń sọ sẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ̀ mọ̀ fi ọdún ní lórí àtẹ̀lábà tó mi Tinubu náà máa tún kó bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ bí máa tún bọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ mọ̀ ní Tinubu ẹtọ ọgbẹ tó wà lẹsẹ pé ẹgbẹ wọn lẹsẹ àti nígbà tó kọ lọrẹ àwọn òdèrè tó kẹ bá wa pín àwọn àdéhùn aṣọ fún Ọlọ́run lè bá wa pín Ọlọ́run àwọn tó láyé tó lọ́run tó bá wa pín yóò sì pín déédéé àṣẹ
Well, that was Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho all the way from Benin Republic. So we go into the conversation this afternoon. Sit back and let us enjoy the discussion as we play the Yoruba anthem, and then we kickstart slowly. And like I said, I want you to take a look at the topic that we are discussing today. Well, that is the Yoruba anthem, but because today is also something that is going to be slightly different from what we do on a daily basis. So we're going to play the Biafra national anthem as well. and I welcome us into the conversation. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and this afternoon, we're going to be touching on a very, very important area in the history of the contraction known as Nigeria. If you look at the topic it is exactly what it says. What is Nigerian culture? And why have we not have a Biafra memorial after 5 million people were killed by the British and all those that supported the evil terrorist country called Nigeria? The Yoruba nation struggle continue, and that means that whatever your views, Nigeria will eventually collapse. These are the discussion today, but we're going to start from what is Nigerian culture? You might be asking me why, because as we have all known, and please do not tell me to speak in Yoruba throughout this program. I will take you out. I am not communicating to you alone. You might be asking why I've decided to ask, what is the Nigerian culture? Because the information out there says that there is a Nigerian culture. And I just want to know, do we really have a Nigerian culture? And if we do, can you please help me out and give me where the pointer is for a Nigerian culture? I will not be mentioning names because we are straight into the program already. What is a Nigerian culture? And if there is none, how come some countries are already identifying that there is a Nigerian culture? Because from what we know, according to the history, that there was nothing known as Nigeria prior before the 1914 fraudulent amalgamation by the British. So where did Nigerian culture become inexistent? Was it after the 1914 amalgamation? Or was it just after the 1960 independence? How come there has never been a Biafra memorial after the Biafra war till date? We know that there's other memorial, the Holocaust, and many other, according to history, the Hutus and the people that were massacred during the genocide. The Biafra war was another genocide. We're going to come to that, and then we will finish it up with the Yoruba nation struggle. But I'm asking everyone today, what is Nigerian culture to you? If I do ask you now, what is a Nigerian culture? How do we identify the meaning of the word Nigerian culture? Are we talking about the indigenous people, the Yorubas, the Ijos, the Igbos, the Hausas, and all the 300 different ethnic indigenous people matched together by the British in 1914 for their own selfish gain? What is a Nigerian culture? And why have I decided to touch on these today? I will tell you why. While I was doing my little rounds as usual, as I do on a daily basis, listening to different things, trying to see what we can use to educate, to enlighten as millions of Nigerians on the reason why Nigeria needs to break up, whether you agree with it or not, whether you are one of those that still believe in one Nigeria. But I know the reason why many Nigerians are still believing in one Nigeria, because of the false information by mostly the international community, mostly United States of America, mostly Canada, France, Germany, United Kingdom, and many of those that think that they can tell us who we are as against to what our forefathers, especially whenever we didn't see them, we still have those that are still alive, like an historian, Professor Adebanji Akintoye. Because I remember when I was looking at what Baba Akintoye told us, in the good news path to prosperity in Orílẹ̀-èdè Yoruba, Baba Akintoye never mentioned at any point in this document that I have studied, that we have been using to enlighten and educate ourselves, that there is what they called the Nigerian culture. We know that there is Igbo culture, there is Hausa culture, there is Ishekiri culture, and there's many cultures like the Yorubas. But I'm asking, where and how did we come across a Nigerian culture? And I'm just going to go straight back to the content one that we started about 3 weeks ago. We are finishing this last part tomorrow, which is we shall revive and strengthen our education. You must have seen my audio that I've released this afternoon. That means from next week, God's willing, inshallah, in Jesus' name, Lashedumari, we will be treating the next discussion, which is going to be first and foremost in our Orílẹ̀-èdè Yoruba. We shall seriously revive our national character. That is the discussion from next week. But let's go back to the first content that told us, according to Professor Banji Akintoye, that we are a nation with a proud roots and a proud history. My question then again is, how did we come across a Nigerian culture according to the United States of America Embassy in Nigeria? Because the United States of America has just told us that there is what they call Nigerian culture. And I'm asking, where, how did we come across a Nigerian culture? When was this initiated? Was it just before the 1914 amalgamation, or just after the fraudulent 1914 or the independent? So when we sit here and we are trying to educate many Nigerians that the West are doing what, sorry for those of you that have been watching us, I realized that my camera wasn't on, but I can tell you that the camera is now on. The question we should be asking ourselves is, how did the Nigerian culture become a culture? We know that we have different cultures in Nigeria, but what is a Nigerian culture is the discussion that I'm asking. And for those of you that are watching us on the software, on the laptop, you will notice that something will change at the background. That is what the American, according to their Twitter handle, or should we say the X handle, since we are no longer using Twitter, it is now known as X, has literally told us that there is something known as Nigeria culture. And should we truly confirm that there is a Nigerian culture, or is just another lies, just like we were told that Mungo Park founded the River Niger? Many lies have been told in the past, but it's great that we now have access to information that we can then use to say to millions of Nigerians that the lies that have been used to deceit and deceive and give us the impression of an illusion known as Nigeria that doesn't exist, that doesn't even have any iota to be existing in the first place, apart from a corrupt system that was put together by the British for one particular reason, as a trade route. Nigeria was a trade route by the British. And for those of you that are saying that we should keep quiet, I'm asking again, what is the Nigerian culture? I was able to pick from the United States of America, known as the U.S. Mission in Nigeria. And it says, and it goes like this. But before we do that, it will be better for me, because since I am not using the full system, let us try to see if I can just help us by printing that particular image so that we can be able to ask America, how did they come across this Nigerian culture in the first place? And how did they manage to know that there is a country known as Nigeria, and yet it also has a culture? According to the U.S. in Nigeria, and you can check this out. This was posted at 10 a.m. local time in Nigeria, which has been viewed by 2,303 people. This is the reason why I am telling many Yoruba people, the Biafra are already good at that. But the Yorubas that are not on Twitter, known as X, might not be able to help this movement. If you're only waiting for the YouTube videos or you're waiting for the Facebook, whether it's live or recorded, you need to be on that X so that we can be able to start asking and challenging when issues like this pop up. Because we can then go on their comment section like I have done already. But imagine we have many saying that they are following Yoruba Nation, but I've been the only one to comment on this particular tweet. That shows that many of you are just waiting for us to come live when we can also tackle the issue right, as especially many of these countries. Because if you're not on X, you will not be able to see and also comment. We appreciate that many of you comment when we come live. As many comments like this should be on the Twitter handle or the X handle of the United States, or known as the U.S. mission in Nigeria, at US in Nigeria. Because if you're not there, you will not be able to correspond and you will not be able to ask questions. Embassy officer Katrina Leg Ramos exploit the iconic Dada pottery Ilorin, celebrating the city's rich tradition of clay pot making. The US is committed to preserving Nigerian culture through supportive agreement and grant. #cultural preservation. You can see why I'm asking the question this particular day. What is the Nigerian culture and how do we identify one? Are we identifying Nigerian culture with a Yoruba culture? Are we identifying Nigeria culture with an Igbo culture? Or are we identifying it as a Hausa or the other ethnic groups as well? My question is as something that has baffled me. And these are something that we need to challenge, especially when this wrong narrative is put out to millions of Nigerians, hoping that that country will continue to exist because only America or the UK or the Canadians can tell them who we are, when we have professors from the southeast, the north, and the middle belt, and wherever, that can tell us exactly who we are. We don't need an American representative to come and tell us that we have a Nigerian culture when fully and truly we don't have one, because it's a lie. We've never had one and we cannot have one. That is the same narrative that many people want us to throw away our proud history and stick to what we know as a fraudulent country that was put together for the selfish interest of the British and their own other cronies across the European countries. So what you've got here, as I've just printed this out because we're not using the full software today, these are Yoruba clay known as amo that have been used for thousands of years before Nigeria was created. But we can see that many Yoruba people are always happy when they see an English woman or an American woman because they look like they can tell us who we are. The same way we have all seen Lugard as our forefathers, rather than seeing who we are directly from the source of who we are, according to Professor Banji Akitoye. My question then is, how did we manage to become who we are not? You can see it clearly that these are from Ilorin, known as Dada pottery in Ilorin. According to this particular officer that visited Ilorin, he's now saying to us that they are going to commit to preserve what is known as Nigerian culture through supportive agreement and grant. What agreement? What grant? These are thousands of years old that have been used by our forefathers, but it has not been explored properly because we have been stumbled upon, we have been subjugated, we have been subdued, and that has not given us the opportunity to make sure that these can go around the world as Yoruba culture creating it. Just the same way we told you at some point about how a stolen artifact came to UK from Belgium, currently stuck in the Metropolitan Police because nobody's allowed to take it back to Nigeria because the buyer refused to agree with the Nigerian government on what is going to happen. Once again, Koikimedia Live, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. As we say all the time, nobody is going to tell you who you are. You would have to fight to identify who you are. If you're expecting anyone, especially the Western countries, to tell you who you are, you would wait for a very long time. I'm asking again, are we saying that we now have a Nigerian culture, knowing fully well that we don't have one? Because we've never had a Nigeria until 1914. So whatever these individuals known as Officer Katrina Lega Ramos is saying is a complete nonsense, because there's nothing known as Nigerian culture, and we must continue to say it as it is, that there was nothing called Nigerian culture. And let's just talk about a bit of our history, and then we move straight to the discussion that follows that. We Yoruba are a nation with a long and proud history according to our very powerful ancient traditions. We Yoruba are the oldest people, or the first of humans in the world. Those traditions tell us that in the beginning of time, when all the surface of the earth was covered by water, the Creator God sent some heavenly beings to come down and establish life on the earth. The heavenly beings descended, bringing with them a chicken, a palm nut, and a small pot filled with a quantity of earth. Their leader was Odudua. When they reached the surface of the water, they poured out the earth contained in the small pot, just like what we are seeing there. So how did we then end up become told that there is a Nigerian culture, even as we are told that when Odudua was coming down, he had a small pot, probably something similar to this. You can see why many Yoruba people need to come out and support this movement before our history is being rewritten by people that doesn't know who we are. And these are many more of lies upon lies upon lies that have been used to give us a wrong narrative. So their leader was Odudua. When they reached the surface of the water, they poured out the earth contained in a small pot, and it formed a small piece of ground. They then put the chicken on this ground, and the chicken went to work scratching the ground with his claws. And the ground spread and spread, and over time became the continent of the earth, which we now have as the world we're living today. But the world is telling us that the Yoruba people cannot have their own country when Iceland, that played Wembley yesterday with England, is less than 320,000 citizens. The whole population of Iceland that had a football-friendly match with England, which England is also part of United Kingdom, is not up to, even up to some of our local government in Yoruba land. You can see why the Yorubas that are hoping and thinking that we should not be part of the international and the global world, but we should remain inside a corrupt country that was never in existence until the 1914 amalgamation and believe in it, rather than pull out of it and have our own independent country. Because we are not talking about one person, we are talking about the people that have been in existence for a very long time. Again, what is the Nigerian culture and how do we identify one? As I go a little bit further, they then put the chicken on this ground, and the chicken went to work scratching the ground with his claws, and the ground spread and spread over time, became the continent on the earth. And we know their agenda. The agenda is to make sure that we are being destroyed as they are continuing to destroy our farmland, destroy the Yoruba economy, and make us to become a second-class citizen on our own soil, on our own territory. This should not be accepted, and this is why we need to tell the U.S. officer that there's nothing called Nigerian culture. This is a Yoruba culture. This is who we are. This is our originality. This is what identifies us as Yoruba people. Because the word Nigerian culture that they are trying to preserve, who are you preserving it for? We own it. It is ours. But many Yoruba people will be so excited to see these shenanigans of some of these, Europeans that come into our territory and then travel. I'm sure she must have traveled with a lot of security before she arrived in Ilorin, because she will not travel by road. And if she dare travel by road, not like you, she would have gone with heavy security. That shows that the country itself is not secured. But they are more than welcome to preserve and support it and even have agreement. What agreement are they doing? The agreement that was done in 1914 by the British is still not yet dissolved. And we don't even know whether in the next 50 years, you might not own these as your own anymore. Because I don't have the details of the agreement. That details was not posted. All I can say is that they are going to give us grants, and there will also be agreement. What kind of agreement? Is it an agreement to say that these will no longer be yours? We have gold, we have a lot of resources, but these resources are no longer in our care. Many Yoruba people need to wake up, because many agreement has been done in Nigeria, in the Yoruba territory, that we don't even know what has been contained in those agreements. And when you are not in supportive of these, but yet you want to take a visa to America, you want to take a visa to Europe, like I was called yesterday, another Yoruba man stuck in Philippines. The agent that gave him the visa or produced or provided or whatever the visa told him that when he gets to Philippines, there's so much amount of jobs. Well, as you all know, this individual arrived in Philippines, but there was no job. And now he's trying to find his way back to Nigeria, where he eventually started the journey from. These are some of the problems that we are encountering on a daily basis. This is the reason why we started with that. So I will not waste too much time on that. We might come back to that later. Now, let's go on the next discussion. The Biafra. The Biafra War, as we all know, or should we say the British proxy war. The British was behind the scene and allowed massacre and genocide to be committed against the Biafrans in 1967, 68, and for 3 years, 3 million innocent children were not just killed, they were starved to death, plus 2 million others. We're probably looking at about 5 million, if not a little bit more. I've come across a column by Dono Kobara. Who is Dono Kobara? It does not really matter, but along this particular column, you will find out a little bit. But we can't talk about Biafra Memorial without going into a bit of the history of what is known as the Biafra War. Should we say it was a Biafra War? Or should we just say a Nigerian civil war where the Nigerian government was used to kill and massacre millions of Biafrans? Until today, I can tell you that no memorial have been set up, no apology, and you expect the Biafra to remain in Nigeria. And you expect the Biafrans to just forget about the 5 million innocent people that were massacred. These 5 million people would not continue to sleep, just like over millions of many Africans that were moved during the slave trade. Let's go into it a little bit, and I'll be reading from what I know based on what the Wikipedia is saying. It was told, or we were told, that it is a Nigerian civil war, but almost 60 or probably a little bit more years down the line, or less than that, we now can say that it was not Nigerian that was fighting the Biafra. It was the British that was fighting to save what is known as what was never theirs in the first place. They wanted to crush the Biafra. They wanted to make sure that the Biafra would never, ever have the audacity to stand against the government of Nigeria again. Well, Coming down to the 21st century, all that has changed. We now have a new breed of Biafrans. We are now a new set of Yorubas that are concerned and worried that if what took place in 67, 68, up to 70 has not yet been finalized, have not yet been looked into, can we literally say that we can no longer continue with them as a country because we have not given them exactly what they wanted? And if they are now saying that, well, the option that we should remain in Nigeria is no longer visible, we would rather want to exit Nigeria, I believe we should allow them to exit either through a referendum, a plebiscite, or at some point it could become an anarchy and a force for them to come out of Nigeria without we stopping them. Because when the Biafra say they're going, no Yoruba should give any reason to say no. But that going, if it doesn't come on a round table, might be a tough time for every single one of us. The Nigerian Civil War started about 6th of July, 1967. It went up till the 15th of January, 1970. I've listened to a lot of commentators, a lot of analysts, even up to the mainstream media in Nigeria, and everyone has now confirmed that the war never ended. It's like we kept it in the cooler. It's like something that was just waiting to erupt again because it never ended. The civil war, or whatever war that you might want to call it, that was used to suppress, to massacre 5 million non-indigenous people, that war did not end it. And that is the reason why we are better off to allow the Biafra to go on their own than allow another civil war to entail and engulf in Nigeria. It will be a disaster. It will take a long time before everything will settle back in. There is still time, there is still room, there is still opportunity, there is still time to negotiate. If all this failed, then every one of us, including myself, should prepare for the worst case scenarios. Because we are talking about people that will not accept that the civil war ended because so much has been taken away from them. The 5 million people, just like many Yoruba people that were also taken during the slave trade, including many other Africans, they've never forgiven us until we exit Nigeria. It is also known as the Biafran War, was a civil war that was fought between Nigeria. We were told that it was just Nigeria, but down the line, we now know that it was not just Nigeria that was fighting the civil war. There were many countries that were fighting one particular ethnic indigenous people. Many, and I say many countries. Those that were funding it, those that were giving ammunition, those that were supporting it through whatever means. But today, like I said, all that has now changed. It is now much more open that many people are now able to understand better that that war was supported by many countries, but we didn't know because there was no information to back it in. But there are now many information in the public domain that Nigeria was being funded just to become the proxy. But the real people that were fighting it were underneath. Just as many Yoruba people that are suffering today, the reason why you're suffering is because of your politicians that have been used against you. That is why they're saying that the cows are much better than the human being known as Nigerian in that contraction zoological country called Nigeria. Let's go further. The Biafran War was a civil war fought between Nigeria and the Republic of Biafra, a secessionist state which has declared its independence from Nigeria in 1967. Are you looking to see what could be another declaration and what could be the government of Nigeria reaction if a declaration comes back again from those that are managing the affairs of the Biafra as government in exile and many other that are supporting them behind the scene. What do you think might happen if the Biafra make another declaration today? Are you preparing your mind for what could happen? Are you saying that they don't have the right to make that declaration? And if they don't go ahead and make that declaration, who the hell are you to stop them? Since we are not one, we are not united, and we can never be one, you will not be able to stop what could be the final straw of the Biafra declaration this time around. We know that what happened in 1967 will be different this time around. There's more information in the public. There's more people that are aware of what is leading to why the Biafrans do not want to be part of Nigeria. Let us prepare our mind. It can happen, and it will happen. There will be a declaration of the Biafra, whether you want it or not. It doesn't matter how you want to keep Nigeria. Remember that the same Nigeria that doesn't have a culture, and we have been told lies again by the US mission that this is known as Nigerian culture. This is a Yoruba culture. There's nothing called Nigerian culture. So if anyone out there thinking that there might not be a declaration of the Biafra, I want you to think about it again. We are no longer in 67, where information was shielded away from the people that needs to know. Millions of Nigerians know the truth, but you don't want to accept the truth. The Biafra are going home, and they will go home because that territory belongs to them. It doesn't belong to the Yoruba people. It doesn't belong to anyone. If we need to trade with them, we will trade with them, just like UK and America are trading with different countries around the world. You would have to rewrite the trading route. No one will go with that trading route that the empire created during that era. Everyone must prepare their mind. Whether you're a diaspora, whether you live in Nigeria, whether you are friends of Nigeria, whether you have a business in Nigeria, you must understand that the Biafra are saying that they want to go. We can do it so that it doesn't become bloody. If the government thinks that they can win when a declaration comes, it will mean that there will be another civil war in Nigeria. And this time around, there will be a final straw. Nigeria will finally collapse. People will die. And that means Biafra will not be joining Nigeria again as the 1967, 68, 69, 70, that everybody thought the war was over. The war was just cooling down somewhere until they brought it back up to say, enough is enough. Nigeria was led by General Yakubu Gowon, who was fighting on behalf of the British, the Americans, the Russians, because the Russians supported Nigeria at the time. Many countries were in favor of the Nigeria because of what they were achieving and getting as resources from Nigeria as at that time. But this time around, I can tell you that Russia might not support UK. Russia will not even might, because there's already friction between Russia and the Western world today. And in the last couple of hours, up to yesterday, I have been watching a couple of Western analyses surrounding the empire that was created, how it has finally collapsed. And bear with me, because I might quickly bring that into the conversation, because I noted some of the timing of that clip I was watching yesterday. So what we're going to watch, those of you on Instagram, on Koikimedia, we're going to be in and out, so you might have to come back when we are back again. You can join me on the other platform. Thank you so much. Let's go into part of what I was listening to yesterday. I can tell you that the world is changing, and it's changing very, very fast, extremely fast, that if you think that if anything happened in Nigeria today, Russia will support America or UK, for those that want to either, for their own purpose, exit Nigeria. As I speak to you right now, the Russia firepower has arrived in Cuba. It is just a friendly drill, we are told. America said there's no reason to be concerned. It's just the same way that we've got the Ukraine, but we know that it is the Western world that is pushing to liberate Ukraine from Russia. So Russia too have now brought in their firepower close to America. Will there be a third world war? I don't know, but it seems that something keeps pushing these crazy countries that doesn't want to speak to each other. So don't expect, if the Biafra make a declaration and the Nigerian government goes with them and then everything goes to the United Nations Security Council, Russia will not support America on that, and they will not support Britain, France, and Canada. Just like Spain, Republic of Ireland, and I believe one other European countries have now endorsed a full Palestinian state. So the world is changing. So the Yoruba should be also gearing up and preparing our mind for such an exit of the Biafra, if that is going to come up. So one thing we need to understand is there is a lot happening. Nigerian government will never defeat the Biafra. And I use the word will never, because Britain could, Norway, thank you so much. So we had Spain, Ireland, and Norway have now said that officially, according to them, that Palestinian is a state, even though United Nations and many other countries continue to block it. When the Biafra declaration finally comes up, don't expect many countries to support this particular country that has never been a country, but force on us. But I want us to just, listen to this part of the discussion I was watching yesterday, like I said. The West colossal mistake. As this continue to happen, there's a lot going on in the world, and the world itself must now agree that people that wants to be free just should be allowed to go their separate ways. We are not one, and we can never be one. Let's listen to these.
Tell them, why should people join us on June 3rd?
Sorry, I couldn't use the software. My son is using the laptop. If not, I would have loved to do it on the software this afternoon.
Because the game's changed, and I know that sounds true.
So,
the United States.
So there was this particular program that was done 2 weeks ago. Over 934,000 people have watched it. I'm just one of them that watched it yesterday. It is put together by a very young, brilliant woman known as Lena Petrova, with about 322,000 followers on YouTube. This video was 2 weeks ago. The title of the video says, and I quote, "West Colossal Mistake. The US Decline, the Rise of the BRICS, Tariffs Damage the US Economy," by Professor Richard Wolfer. Well, this professor is speaking from the side of what he understands. That is the reason why I am also always ready to make sure that whatever Professor Banji Akintoye asks us to talk about is my own problem to tell you as much as I say. So let us go into it a little bit. So I have some of the pointer that I want to make use from this particular video. It's about almost an hour, but I was able to bring some pointer. Let's go to 22 minutes of this video. The 22 minutes of this video talks about the United States. So I'm going to start from about 19 minutes and then 31 seconds. And later on, I'll share the link for those of you that love to listen to such kind of, discussion, because the world is moving very fast. Like I said to you, the Biafra have every right to make a declaration, just like the Yoruba have the same right. But the Biafra would not, and have not forgotten the 5 million of their friends, family that were massacred through a genocide by the British and the Western world using Nigeria, Yakubu Gowon. Let's listen to this.
Chinese Much of the world is doing that, including Europe, where the Chinese cars and trucks, you see them on the road, not a problem. But no American sees them. Why? Because the 27.5% tariff means that whatever the Chinese charge for their trucks, electric trucks and cars, you have to pay that price to the Chinese if you were an American, plus 27.5% going to Uncle Sam as the tariff. That prices the Chinese out of the American market. You're going to make this even worse because Americans know and have told our government that the Chinese continue to improve their technology so that they're going to be even cheaper and even better than the Americans and others competing with them are likely to be for years into the future. That's how far ahead the Chinese have achieved. Okay, so we are now raising it to, if a car costs $20,000 that you're buying from China to pay to the Chinese, you'll have to add another $20,000 and pay $40,000 here in the United States because you have to pay $20 to U.S. government in tariff on top of the $20 to China. This effectively protects everybody producing a car here in the United States. If it costs, and just for simple arithmetic, if it costs $35,000 in the United States to produce a roughly similar truck or car, well, then you can sell it at 35. You could sell it at 36, 37, 38, because it would always still be cheaper to buy that car than the $40,000 you'd have to pay for the Chinese. That's why it's called protection. And it is mostly occurring because the losers of a competition don't want to pay the price of having lost the competition. There's no nice way to say this. And nobody should be fooled when the losers of the competition insist that the winner cheated. Yeah, that's what they always say. It's never their fault. It's not they didn't develop the technology. They didn't develop the expertise in batteries. They didn't, no. They did everything right. The other side is cheating. Secretary of the Treasury Yellen
is coming into that area. I started a bit early, so it's going to come into the section that I want us to listen to. Then I'll come back in again.
China and invented an entirely new economics. Excess capacity, she said. The Chinese produce huge factories. Of course they do. That's how they achieve their efficiency. It's called economies of scale.
So for those of you that are expecting anything out of that shit-hole country called Nigeria, that you've never produced anything in the last 63 years, you better start waking your mind up, because the Yoruba can start having a great economy, an economy that will be in favor of every one of us. And we're going to be coming there very, very soon when we get to part of the content that Baba Kitoye talked about. And there is a lot in this content that we'll be discussing, but there is something that we must understand, that we would have our own effective foreign policy and service. Our country shall be a land of enterprise and plentiful, not the Nigeria that you have lived for the rest of your life, but you've not had plentiful, and you've never going to have any plentiful, even if you go to any more churches or mosques or any of your traditional institutions. So why am I bringing this in? Is for us to understand that the world is changing. Even America is losing it as the West colossal mistake. If they can come in now and allow Nigeria to dissolve, it will be of the interest of everybody. But if they refuse to, imagine how the new country of the Biafra would like to operate with whoever support them as at the time, because whoever give them the support will have access to more of their resources as against America or the other countries that might disagree for the disintegration of Nigeria. Let's listen a little bit more further.
It's something we teach economics students in the first year. If you produce a lot of something, you can bring down the cost per unit of what you produce.
Do you understand that? I remember when we were producing these flags, I was asked how many do I want to produce? Because the more I can produce, the cheaper for the company that was going to produce it. So the more you produce, the more it is cheaper. But many Yoruba people, we are not producing anything as at the last 63 years. But we have the land, we have the human capacity, but it is the shit old country known as Nigeria that is holding us back, and the West and America can tell us that this is a Nigerian culture. Imagine if we can produce these in millions. It becomes cheaper for us to market it and export and make money out of it. These are many reasons why the Yoruba should start thinking today. If not, you want to come to Europe? Come to Europe. Some of us are already tired. We want to go back and use our expertise and our skills to develop our land, which is called Yoruba land or Oduduwa Republic. Let's listen a little bit more further. The reason why everybody's going to China, because China has massive companies, industries, gigantic, that can produce something in a large scale, even up to the electric vehicle. So what the young man, what the professor was trying to explain to us is that, I'm going to go back to the Biafra issue, is that we have electric vehicle that is coming from China at $20,000, but yet America is putting tariff on it for another 20,000, and that is going to make it very much expensive. So America thinks that the tariff will stop the competition, but knowing fully well that China is already ahead of the game. But like I said, just to go back briefly, that during the Biafra war, the Biafra didn't have every technology to fight, but they were producing things within the little resources that they have. Imagine that today, many Biafra are now more well-read in every technology. They are now more connected around the world. They can now use those resources to implement and prepare their full exit from Nigeria, as at the time that their government in exile under Simon Ekpa, the prime minister, government in exile, will take that decision. And like I said, it might be like a joke, but it is coming. Go back and check the IRA. They could not defeat, the British could not defeat them. So and don't expect the Biafra not to prepare ahead. We've seen terrorists with sophisticated American weapons. So don't think that the Biafra does not have the right to defend themselves against the terrorist military organization known as the Zoo country. Let's just listen a little bit more, then we move further.
So you always build in excess capacity. Competitive enterprises do it all the time. It's part of American economic history. She's just counting, Ms. Yellen is, on people not understanding these basics, and so finding this to be some sort of argument as if the Chinese have cheated. No, they didn't. They outdid you. Competition always has winners and losers. And I know that here in America, I'm born and raised here, we cannot imagine the United States losing ever anything, but we do.
That is exactly what is going to happen to Nigeria. Nigeria is going to lose, but it can be done in a way that nobody is affected in the long run. And that also goes with the Yorubas. If the Nigerian government thinks that they can hold us down in the contraction, it is just a matter of time. But the focus tonight and this afternoon is all about the Biafra. I want us to go straight as it talks about the British Empire. We are already at 23.27 seconds of this video, but I'm going to allow you to drive through what it says when it talks about the British Empire, because the British Empire was the one that created Nigeria, that the Biafra are now saying that they've had enough. So let's listen again as it goes dive into something that touches on the British Empire.
We lost the war in Vietnam. We lost the war in Afghanistan. We're in the process of losing it in Ukraine. But Americans need to...
Did you hear that? This is a professor in America saying that America lost the war in Afghanistan. Billions of dollars was invested, spent. Many innocent military men and women have now been disabled or they had probably dead. So if you are one of those thinking at the back of your mind that the federal government of Nigeria might will bring down the Biafra, I want you to rethink now that it is not going to happen, and it can never happen. The Nigerian federal government at 21st century will never defeat the Biafra. They could not defeat the Boko Haram terrorists. The Biafra are now more well prepared as against what happened about almost 67, 68, 69, 70. And let me say this again, that whatever the government is preparing, the Biafra are preparing 300 times ahead of that as well. They are much more networking. They are much more exposed. They're much more able to know what and how the government dealt with them during the war, that the government was being supported by Britain. Britain was creating more weapons to throw to Nigerian government to kill 5 million innocent people. And that is why Nigeria refused to give the Biafra a memorial up to today. Let's go straight into it as we continue.
Process of losing it in Ukraine, but Americans need to believe that we're always winning. The tariffs are a sign that American dominance, which we got used to after World War II, from the second half of the 20th century, was the dominance of the United States. And with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1989, it left the United States in what political scientists like to call a unipolar moment.
Okay.
But that's over now.
That's
The
over.
United States isn't what it was, and the Chinese...
The United States is not what it was. Yes, they were powerful, but there's now more powerful country that is emerging. Not that America is still not powerful, but we have now, the Russia, we now have the China or the Chinese. And what Nigeria needs to understand is that you will not be able to defeat the Biafra come when that time gets closer. It will be messy, it will be bloody, and we can avoid it now. It is not too late. But if Nigeria is thinking the Northern Fulani Caliphate, the Sultan of Sokoto, and the Emir of Kano, that is just fighting each other for that throne, Sanusi and Bayero or the rest of them, with the support of the Saudi Arabia and those Arab countries, you will not defeat the Biafra this time around. It will be fire for fire. Many of us would eventually have to understand when it is very, very heat up. We can stop it from happening. They can allow them to go, and everybody that doesn't want to go will still remain in Nigeria. I know the Yoruba wants to go, but for now, the Biafra wants to go, allow them to go. You cannot force them to remain in a country where the war that was fought by the British and the rest of the Western world against them, that end up killing 5 million of their people. Everybody knows that 5 million people died. How come there was never a memorial? So let's just listen 1 more second and then we go back into the discussion.
These and their allies have become a powerful new competitor. And the United States is having a hard time adjusting, which I can understand. It's like the British. It took them a century to realize that the British Empire wasn't there anymore. And some of them still...
It took the British to start understanding that that empire is over. That empire that you had access to their resources, it is over. So the reason why the British are still allowing Nigeria to function is because they are using the Northern Fulani Caliphate to pull the rest of us down. And this time around, we are now much more smarter. That is why they can come out in a clear, open Senate seat and tell it to your face, and tell it to your face that the cows are far better than you as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The cows are not citizens of Nigeria. So, Mr. President, cows are not citizens of Nigeria. You didn't hear what I said. Senator Nehru, are you arguing with me? No. I said cows are not citizens. The section you are referring to is talking about citizens of Nigeria. Yes. And cows are not citizens of Nigeria. Cows can come in from Niger. They can come in from Chad, anywhere. But cows are not citizens. Wrong. So, your point of order is noted, but rejected. You want to make contribution on the debate? Cows are.
This means that as the Biafra continue to prepare their exit, in whatever way they are preparing their exit, you don't have to agree with how they prefer to exit. But one thing is, something is about to go down. And it's going to go down regardless of your own belief. But let's go back to the Nigerian Civil War again. Once again, my name is OLAYOMI KOIKI as we continue to use our platform to educate on the self-determination of those indigenous people that prefer to exit. I will not sit here and allow you to talk anyhow to those that wants to exit. You don't have to agree with them. You can walk away from this platform. I am not pleading with you to be here. I am not speaking on behalf of the Biafra. I am also supporting them because they want to go, just like I want to exit that shithole country. But I am just asking the question, how come we've never given them a memorial and even a Biafra day? We have the June 12th. How come they don't have the Biafra day? How come? So let's go back a little bit into the discussion. Yakubu Gowon, the evil monster, another Fulani that was working on behalf of the British, using all the resources that was in his capacity. He's a very old man today, and he will live to witness the Biafra leaving, just as most of them will witness the Yorubas. Yakubu Gowon and the Biafra by Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Emeka Odumegu Ojukwu, Biafra, represented the nationalist aspiration of the Igbo ethnic group, whose leadership felt they could no longer coexist with the federal government. Why is it that we don't want to coexist again with Nigeria today? Why are we finding it difficult to coexist? Why are we not saying that we want to remain Nigerians, especially the Yorubas I'm talking to today? Why are we saying that we want to go? Why have we not decided to remain in Nigeria? If the Biafra wants to go, how come we are now also not allow them to go? Once again, this is something you need to understand. That the same reasons why we have now stood out, come out, under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye, under the leadership of Professor Akintoye, that we want to go. And some of the reasons when we go, that will bring a new ways of life for the Yoruba people. Firstly, we are a nation with a proud root and a proud history. Independent Nigeria, we have suffered serious decline and agony. We shall revive and strengthen our educational system, not the 7% that the government of Tinubu is pumping into the budget 2024, as against in 1955, when Babawolowo was pumping 40% into the educational sector. We would also go back and make sure that, first and foremost, in our new nation, we shall seriously revive our national character. Our youth development program will transform our nation. There will never be any of these in the present day Nigeria. So when we talk about the Biafra that wants to go, as at the time that they want to go, we were not ready to go. So we still want to coexist because we thought that we could transform, we could change, we could bring the dream of Nigeria to the Africans. And we now realize that it is not going to happen. We were all deceived, either through the thinking that you can change the ideology of the crazy Fulanis I am not talking about the Fulanis in the forest. I am talking about the Fulanis like the Dangote, the BUA, and the rest of them that have made use of what is known as Nigeria for their own selfish gain as Sanusi destroyed the banking sector of the Yoruba area. So let's go back again to it. The Igbos wanted to exit Nigeria because they believed that the coexisting was not going to happen with the federal government dominated by the interests of the Muslim Hausa Fulanis of the northern Nigeria. So even as at the time, the Hausa Fulanis were part of what was mentioned here. It was not just Hausa, because we know that at some point now, there's nothing called Hausa anymore. They've been taken out completely. Somebody like Ganjude is just waiting for Tinubu to complete his tenure so that he can get the power. Because Ganju just said it and had it with him saying it that I am a Fulani man. But he was able to govern Kano State for good 8 years. Do you know what is going to happen after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Especially for those of you that are Yorubas. Are you looking forward to what might happen if Tinubu does not push for the total dissolution or disintegration of Nigeria? Then people like Shetima, a terrorist man that we saw having dinner with a terrorist, and the rest of them. Do you know, are you thinking what might become of them when they can sit in the Senate and tell Nigerians that cow has value than you as Nigerians? So in 1967, agreed, the Yorubas did not want to go. We want to coexist with Nigeria. But now we also want to go. We don't want to coexist with Nigeria anymore because it is no longer working. It is becoming unbearable. I am not talking about people being massacred in the forest. I am talking about people being taken away from their livelihood. A Yoruba man traveled to Vietnam when we have our own resources. Those resources are stolen in Osun State, end up in United Arab Emirates. Many Nigerians that are Yoruba are not being given work permit in UAE. If we have our Yoruba country, UAE would have to sign an MOU that any Yoruba that is living there must be respected, because we would then be able to have a new treaty. So in 1967, we know that Yoruba don't want to go. So we were in love with Nigeria. We thought Nigeria was still going to work for us because we thought that we could dominate it, just like the Igbo want to dominate it, because that is sometimes the argument. Oh, if the Igbo becomes the president, they would. Oh, everybody wants to dominate. That is called leveraging. You would dominate if your own people is there. Tinubu is there now. You expect Tinubu to use an Igbo man for his chief of staff? No, he will not. And don't believe the nonsense that the Shetima says. Oh, is the guy that stands behind him is an Igbo man. That is just to tell you that they are thinking that we are stupid. So even a Muslim ticket, the Northerners are already complaining that they don't believe in Tinubu anymore because it's a lie. They would rather prefer to see somebody that looks like them. That is why I said I might disagree with Tinubu, but I do not pray for his death, because if he dies, that means Shetima becomes the president, and that will come a difficult one again. Not that it's not going to be difficult. Tinubu is there. It's not like he's going to give us a Yoruba nation or allow a Biafra, but we would have to do what needs to be done to exit Nigeria, whether peaceful, which I pray is going to happen, but freedom and liberation doesn't come easy. 6th of June, 1944, over 5,000 ships arrived at the Normandy to rescue those that are now known as the French people. If not, maybe every single one of us today will not be able to arrive in this country if Nazil was still controlling. Only God knows what would have happened. Then think about it. If that mission failed, the first one did not fail. Don't think that the Biafra war failed. It never failed. It is just that it was put in the cooler, and the Biafrans have opened it again, and they are saying this time around, the task will be completed. I don't want to use the word it's going to be bloody, because I still believe that it can be done peacefully. It can be done amicably. But if some of you that are Yorubas think that they will crush them, ask the IRA if British was able to crush them. In 1997, a year before I arrived in UK, there was already a Good Friday Agreement between the IRA and the British government. So let's go into it. So the reason, and so many other reasons, that the Biafra said that they could no longer coexist Let's look for the meaning of coexist. What does it mean? Charlie, Oscar, Echo, X-ray, Indigo, Sarah, Tango. Coexist. Why is it that they could not
coexist?
And what is the meaning of?
Coexist.
Exist at the same time or in the same place. We want to be developed. The Northerner doesn't want to be developed. We want to have a space where we can allow our culture to be told as it is, not American coming to Ilorin and telling me that this clay is a Nigerian culture. This is not a Nigerian culture. This is a Yoruba culture where I can speak my language openly without being told is a vernacular. Again, the meaning of
coexist.
How come that we have never been?
Coexist.
And do you think that we can be?
Coexist.
Let me give you some of the what I can call. I did something on my X yesterday. It's running for 7 days. For those that have been following, they've seen it already. But those of you that have not followed, it's like putting out some information to check on Nigerians, whether, Yorubas, Igbos, Hausas, and the rest that probably would have opportunity to see. And these are some of the results that have come out so far in terms of my asking questions. And some of those questions, I'll tell you how the results have been in the last 48 hours, I believe. Can you get me water, please? Who is there? Hello? Can you get me water, please? Thank you. So let's look at some of the, what I did ask the question. You can also help me, to put it in the comment section. So I started with Nigeria is a crime scene. Yes, 52.8%. No, 2.8%. Triple crime scene, 27.8%. Nigeria, 419 country, 16.70%. You decide which one you want to put in there. You can help me to put yours in the comment section. Nigeria is a crime scene. You can either put yes. I'm just giving you the statistics so far on Twitter, known as X. This was posted, it got 5 days to go. I posted this yesterday. If you're one of those that are following me, you must have seen this already. But if you're not following me, you will not see it. This is the reason why I say you must come to the Twitter so that we can all bash it and stop America from telling us this is a Nigerian culture. And many of those countries like that. Let's go to number 2. Who owned Nigeria? I will first give you the questions and the answer, then I'll tell you what response I've got so far. And I still have 5 more days to go. Who owned Nigeria? Fulani, Britain, Yoruba, Igbo. Again, who owned Nigeria? Fulani, Britain, Yoruba, Igbo. The answer that I've got so far, Fulani, 31.3%, Britain, 59.4%, Yoruba, 3.1%, Igbo, 6.3%. The next question, should Nigeria now be divided? Should Nigeria now be divided? Yes, no. Into nations, Nigeria divided already. Should Nigeria now be divided? Yes, no. Into nations and Nigeria divided already. It's already 4 questions, 4 answers. So this is how the answers were responded to on my timeline. Should Nigeria be divided? Yes, 81.3%. No, 6.3%. Into nations, 10.4%. And then Nigeria divided already, 2.1%. The next question, would President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be the last president of Nigeria? Yes, no, not. Next president, more president after him. Would President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be the last president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Yes, no, the not. will be the next president, and there will also be more president after him. This is how people have responded. Yes, 79.7%. No, 9.4%. Not will be the next president, 4.7%. More president after him, 6.3%. This is how people have voted so far. I have 5 more days to go. If you want to do yours as well, you need to be following me at Koikimedia on X, formerly known as Twitter. There's still 2 more to 3 more to go. Would Peter Obi ever be Nigerian president? Would Peter Obi ever be Nigerian president? Yes, no, he won't allow. He's wasting his time. I repeat again, would Peter Obi ever be Nigerian president? No, yes, he won't allow him. He's wasting his time. This is how the answer so far. Would Peter Obi ever be the president? Yes, 16%. No, 40%. He won't allow him, 16%. Is wasting his time, 28%. Do we have peace in Nigeria? Do we have peace in Nigeria? Peace, never. Peace, yes, since 1960. No, yes. Do we have peace in Nigeria? Peace, never. Peace, yes, since 1960. No, yes. This is the answer so far I've got. 5 more days to go. Go on my timeline, follow me. You will also be able to also do your own on this. Do we have peace in Nigeria? Peace, never, 32.1%. Peace, yes, since 1960, 3.6%. No, 60.7%. Yes, 3.6%. I got a few more to go. Who are the real criminals in Nigeria? Who are the real criminals in Nigeria? Nigerians, politicians, international country, everyone. Who are the real criminals in Nigeria? Nigerians, politicians, international country, everyone. This is how people have responded so far. 5 more days to go. You can also follow me on Koikimedia on X, formerly known as Twitter, and you can also do yours as well. Who are the real criminals in Nigeria? Nigerians, 8.8%. Politicians, 76.5%. International country, 5.9%. Everyone, 8.8%. Will you support the breakup of Nigeria? Would you support the breakup of Nigeria? Yes. No. Biafra nation, Yoruba nation. 64 people have voted. I didn't even tell you how many people have voted as I go along before. I'll just leave that for now. But 64 people have voted out of about 40,000 people I have on my Twitter. Probably some have seen it, but you still got 5 more days, and I'll be telling you as soon as I have more update on it. Would you support the breakup of Nigeria? Yes, 60.9%. No, 1.6%. Biafra nation, 23.4%. Yoruba nation, 14.1%. While we are sitting here on the YouTube and Facebook, the Biafra are already beating us on Twitter. This is the reason why we got to be there. Because for me now, it's like it is not a satisfying result on this particular one. But reach where we are now. Everybody, yeah, Yoruba nation, yeah. But we should be out there so that we don't know who is watching it, because I don't know who is following me on my Twitter. And I can tell you that millions of people are following me. You don't have to tell me that, because I'll be updating you on some of my broadcasts that I produce out. Something came back out of it. I will not give you the clue now, but a call came through yesterday. I will tell you more about it, but not yet. That call got to do with one of my programs that I did some few months back. And I'll just leave it for now. Would you support the breakup of Nigeria? Yes, 60.9%. No, 1.6%. Biafra nation, 23.4%. And the Yoruba nation, 14.1%. So you can see that the Biafra wants to go. But we are here now. I don't need that here. I want you to go on Twitter and do yours as well. 2 more to go. No, about 3 more to go. Do we have justice in Nigeria? Do we have justice in Nigeria? These are pertinent questions that President Bola Tinubu should be asking every one of us. But they are going round and round. deceiving themselves as if that the Biafra war is over. The Biafra war was never over. It was just sleeping in the cooler, and they've waken it up with more sophisticated weapon, with more intellectuals, with more people investing their resources, time, and money into it. Nigeria will not be able to stop them this time around. This is not 1967, because already we will have division when that time comes, because some of the Yorubas that have agreed that we don't want to coexist with Nigeria would just probably say, that's fine, let them go. But yes, we're going to have some other Yorubas that doesn't want Nigeria to break, and they will be against the Biafra. And it's not just all the Igbos that wants to go. Some of them are adamant they want to remain in Nigeria, not because they're enjoying Nigeria, because Ken Saro-Wiwa never enjoyed Nigeria until he was killed. Not just killed, he was hanged to death by the late Sani Abacha in 1994. Do we have justice in Nigeria? Ask Sowore, ask Igboho, ask Nnamdi Kanu. No. The Yoruba are not on the Twitter because nobody says Igboho, he had 0%. Sowore had 11.5%. Nnamdi Kanu had 11.5%. But majority of people says, no, Nigeria does not have a justice system, 76.9%. And the last but not the least, or one more to go. This is a very important question because I was shocked on this particular one. This is why I say to us, we need to invest when it comes to this movement. Don't sit back and expect, oh, because you are watching me. No, you are watching me. Millions of people don't know what we're talking about. It is important that we push our resources, especially to the grassroots. They are not on the social media, but there's also things that can be done to get the message out more on the social media. But this shows that many Nigerians have no clue about the 1914 amalgamation. You'll be surprised and shocked with the next question and the answers I got. What do you know about 1914? Southern Nigeria was joined with Northern Nigeria Protectorate to form the single colony of Nigeria. The unification was done for economic reasons, and the colonial administration sought to use the budget surplus in the Southern Nigeria to offset its deficit. Nothing. So much time to break it. Best thing that ever happened, Nigeria grandfather Lugard. Again, what do you know about the 1914 amalgamation? 31.8% says they have no clue. They don't know what is 1914 amalgamation. You can say what we're dealing with. So when some of you are saying, oh, we want the Yoruba nation tomorrow, remember that 31.8% of Nigerians do not have a clue about the 1914 amalgamation. There's so much time to break it, 45.5%. The best thing that ever happened, 0%. Nigeria grandfather Lugard, 22.7%. So 22% Nigerians knows Lugard, but 31% has no understanding what the 1914 amalgamation is all about. Then the question is, how do you tell yourself that you want to break away from the country? Because many people believe that Nigeria was created by God. Nobody knows Lugard, because the percentage of those that knows Lugard in these statistics so far is very, very low. And this is the last one, then we go back again to the discussion. We are 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we will probably run this program maximum less than 3 hours. So we have about less than an hour and plus to go. Should we save Nigeria? A very, very important question. Should we save, and when I mean we, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, all the indigenous people in Nigeria, including our friends, the international community that are also in love with Nigeria, like the American official that traveled to Ilorin and told us that the Nigerian culture we must maintain. Should we save Nigeria or allow it to die? Should we save Nigeria or allow Nigeria to die? Well, yes, save it. No, don't save it. Nigeria died in 2014. No one is Nigeria. I'll repeat that again. Should we save Nigeria or allow Nigeria to die? Yes, save it. No, don't save it. Nigeria died in 2014. No one is Nigeria. And this is how people responded so far. Should we save Nigeria, allow it to die? Yes, save it, 7.7%. No, don't save Nigeria, 20.5%. Nigeria died in 2014, 48.7%. No one is Nigeria, 23.1%. Whatever this means to you, I want you to think about it, that this might be very small proportion. Imagine if the federal government put this kind of Q&A out and let us know whether many people will support Yoruba nation, Biafra nation, Arewa nation, Ijo nation, Edo nation, whatever nations that wants to come out of Nigeria. And don't ever, and I mean it, don't ever tell me that there are smaller indigenous people in Nigeria. How do we manage them? Gibraltar, a British territory, is about 34,000 population, and they can manage themselves very well. Iceland was playing football with England at Wembley Stadium yesterday. England lost. England lost that game. It's a friendly. Iceland itself is not even up to 500,000 in population. Iceland is just under 321,000 population. If I say this afternoon that the Iceland embassy have given me access to give 10,000 people visa that I've got, that I want to donate, this platform will collapse because millions of you will want to go to that country. But remember that that country is just under 300,000. Not even up to some of our population, not even up to some of the district. Bear with me. Yeah. Okay? Bear with me. Sorry, those of you here, we're going to go and come back. A very good afternoon once again to those of you that have joined us. So we're just going to put something to listen to while I deal with my family, one or two things at the background. Family come first. So we listen to this particular one. It is just a plea to the Nigerian government and the federal government to listen before it is too late. If they listen, it will be for the benefit of every one of us.
Dialogue now. I repeat it again. I'm not an evil man, but I'm telling you what I'm shown in the spirit. What? I'm seeing great people, important people in this nation coming together and saying, now, okay, we want to sit on the table, let us talk. But the people you want to talk with are saying, it's too late. Please, dialogue now. The days ahead are evil. Dialogue now. This is not a cry of a baby. It's a cry of an adult. I repeat it again. Dialogue now. The Bible said, blessed are the peacemaker, for they shall be called the children of God. Please, every authority, there come a time when a revolution is about to take place. The power of gun, bombs, and bullets cannot hold an ideology. Please, dialogue now. This is not the time of, I have bullets, I have gun, I have bomb. This has nothing to do with bullet and bomb. If you know what I'm seeing in the realm of the spirit, everyone in federal authority should take the Biafra agitation serious. If you are once a founding father of this nation, sit down around the table and listen to your children. Dialogue now. This is not the time to arrest anybody. It's the time to hear the cry of the people. Dialogue now. Because He's going to be the last resultant solution at the end. But when you are asking, when the king comes down from his throne and he's saying, I'm ready to talk, and everybody is throwing stone at you, then you will know that it is important to dialogue with honor and prestige and go out and there is peace in the land. Dialogue now. I repeat it again. I'm not an evil man, but I'm telling you what I'm shown in the spirit. What? I'm seeing great people, important people in this nation coming together and saying, now, okay, we want to sit on the table, let us talk. But the people you want to talk with are saying, it's too late. Please, dialogue now. The days ahead are evil. Dialogue now. This is not a cry of a baby. It's a cry of an adult. I repeat it again. Dialogue now. The Bible said, blessed are the peacemaker, for they shall be called the children of God. Please, every authority, there come a time when a revolution is about to take place. The power of gun, bombs, and bullets cannot hold an ideology. Please, dialogue now. This is not the time of, I have bullets, I have gun, I have bomb. This has nothing to do with bullet and bomb. If you know what I'm seeing in the realm of the spirit, everyone in federal authority should take the Biafra agitation serious. If you are once a founding father of this nation, sit down around the table and listen to your children. Dialogue now.
Well, it's up to them. If they refuse to dialogue, then the problem will just eventually come in and the world would have to intervene in the crisis that will emerge from that particular situation. We are...
Cows are not citizens of Nigeria. So, Mr. President, cows are not citizens of Nigeria. You didn't hear what I said. Senator Aliru, are you arguing with me? No, I said cows.
Well, cow has always been citizen. It's just that everybody lives in denial. So let's come back to the final conclusion as we still touch on the Biafra, and then we go into the Yoruba nation struggle, which will come in just after this discussion. As I say, good afternoon, the 8th day of the month of June 2024. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and as many of you know, these platforms stand with the self-determination campaign under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba nation struggle. And as we say all the time, he is the only authentic leader, not the leader of the Yoruba people in Nigeria, but when it comes to the Yoruba nation struggle, he is the leader that we know and nobody else. And I'll be also telling you more about the video. Some of you have seen it already, Igboho and Babakitoye in Benin Republic. This afternoon, I've just taken out about a few minutes out of it, and I'm sure some of you that have seen it already, have listened carefully to Oluye Igboho himself. So let's go back to the discussion that we've had on the table. So the reason why, this situation took place in 1967,
Coexist.
because, there was problems with between the Igbos, the Hausas, and the Fulanis. And it seems that what that literally means
Coexist.
is that to exist together or at the same time, to live in peace with each other, especially as a matter of policy. The question again is, can we ever live together as one country, even though it has never been a country? You can think about that yourself. But one thing is, millions of people have now said we can't live together because we have got different ideologies and different ways of life. So, because they could no longer coexist with the federal government, dominated by the interest, it's all about the interest of the Muslim Hausa Fulanis of northern Nigeria. The conflict resulted from political, economic, ethnic, cultural, religious tensions which preceded the United Kingdom's formal decolonization of Nigeria from 1960 to 1963. Immediately causes of the war in 1966 included a military coup, a counter coup, anti-Igbo pogroms in the northern Nigeria. Within a year, Nigerian government troops surrounded the Biafra and captured the coastal oil facilities and the city of Port Harcourt. A blockade was imposed as a deliberate policy during ensuring stalemate, which led to the mass starvation of the Biafran civilians. That is not going to happen this time around, I can tell you. They've learned and they are going to improve much better than what took place in 1967. So we know that 2 million people were starved to death. Well, according to what they're saying. But not just the 2 million. Many millions of Igbo people died during that civil war as well. So a blockade was imposed as a deliberate policy, just as we can see it happening between the Israel and Palestinian. Blockade. Don't allow the foodstuff to go in so that more people can die, even after many of them have been killed in the first place. About 30,000 innocent people have been massacred in Palestine, about 80,000 people are injured. And the world continues to keep quiet. So, during the 2.5 years of the war, there were about 100,000 overall military casualties. Huge numbers. That tells you that it was not an easy, straightforward war. Yes, Nigerian government had access to weapons submitted to them by the British, the French, and many countries around the world. But this time around, I will not be surprised if the Biafrans will also be getting support from countries I don't know. During that 2.5 years of the war, over 100,000 overall military casualties, while between 500 and 2 million Biafran civilians died of starvation. We know that number is not 2 million. We know that number is more than that. Alongside the concurrent Vietnam War, the Nigerian Civil War was one of the first wars in human history to be televised to a global audience. This time around, it will also be televised. But the difference is, it will be much more better than what used to exist during that period of 1967. And like Showore always say, the revolution will be televised. During that time, there was a Vietnam War. So the Nigerian Civil War was the first war in the human history. Always the bad thing happened to be part of that shithole country, to be televised to a global audience. In the mid-1968, images of malnourished and starving Biafran children saturated the mass media of the Western countries. The plight of the starving Biafrans became a cause célèbre in the foreign countries, enabling a significant rise in funding and prominence of international non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Biafra received international humanitarian aid from civilians during the Biafra airlift, an event which inspired the formation of what is now known as Doctors Without Borders. Following the end of the war, the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union were the main supporters of the Nigerian government. Did you hear what I said? There is no more Soviet Union. We now have Ukraine. We have Russia. We have countries that pull out from Soviet Union. So what is going to happen now should another, bang, 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 happen between federal government and Nigeria and the Biafra? Russia, I can tell you, will not back UK. The reason why Soviet Union backed it was because Soviet Union was still one fold. This time around, Soviet Union is no longer one entity. It is dissolved, and we can see as Russia continues to hammer hard on Ukraine, while the West continue to support Ukraine with millions of dollars and pounds worth of firepower. And that has not allowed the war to even end. It is just creating more problem and more debt. So this time around, it's not going to be what it used to be in 1967, 68, 1969 and thereabout. So United Kingdom and the Soviet Union were the main supporters, and they are the main head. And when they say that when you cut off the head, what else is left? So this time around, UK is going through its own troubles. UK is facing its own plight. 14 years of the Conservative, the British people are saying, the British citizens are now tired, saying that they do not want Conservative to come back. Whether Labour or Conservative win, by the 4th of July, there will be more room to know who is going to be in power of the British government, whether it's going to be a hang parliament, whether it's going to be a full win by the Labour, a full win by the Conservative. They will have to also be dealing with one of their leftover empire that is crumbling. And it seems that it is crumbling at a very speed of sound, because the economic collapse, the insecurity, and many troubles that is going to erupt when and how soon, I don't know, but we can all see visibly well that it is already loading. And it is loading, and everybody can live in denial. Nigeria is coming to its end, and that will be the last British Empire that is holding. And as you listen to Professor Wallace that I played earlier, he said, and I quote, that the British Empire has finally collapsed. And I can just play that again from here. Well, I tell you that some of you might not listen to it, but don't worry. It's just the same thing that you've heard earlier. I just want to play it again. And that, I believe, is number 20. And I'll be sharing the link in case you love something like this. And the headline is West Colossal Mistakes. The U.S. decline, the rise of the BRICS, tariffs is damaging the U.S. economy, according to Professor Richard Wolff. So let's listen to how the British Empire is collapsing, or the British find it difficult to understand that their empire already is no more in existence. But they are still hoping that the last one, which is the Nigeria, can survive. If we do not allow that empire to drop down, you and myself will struggle, whether you live in UK with your British passport, whether you're one of those that wants to japa on a student or a COS to come and do care work, or whether you're just one of those that is finding a way out of Nigeria. We can go back to who we are before the British created this contraction in 1914. Listen to what those of you on the Facebook and on Koikimedia, you will not be able to listen to it, but bear with me. It's just the same thing you've had earlier before.
In collapse of the Soviet Union in 1989.
Yeah, it's talking about the collapse of the Soviet Union. And if we go back, the Soviet Union was in support with the British. This too now is no longer, friendly, because Russia is on its own, hammering Ukraine. The West continue to pump money in there. The UK that has thought that they can hold on to the last empire, which is the Nigeria of their dream, that empire itself is dropping and it's going very, very fast. And I say, Otilo. Otilo. So let's listen to this again. This is Professor Richard Wolff. This video has been watched by 934,000 people, including myself, in under 2 weeks. Nigeria must allow the Igbos, Biafrans, the Yoruba, Oduduwa, the Arewa, Hausa, and the Ijo, Edo to go their separate ways. Your governors will not be able to hold to their pants when that time comes. I can tell you they will run through Benin Republic and everything will be falling apart very, very fast. Tinubu himself might be moved to Benin Republic for his own safety. Let's listen to Professor Richard Wolff.
It left the United States in what political scientists like to call a unipolar moment. But that's over now.
It's getting over. Wake up, Nigerians. Wake up. It is over. The British Empire will collapse. It's dead. And nobody will revive it. Shout out to my sister, Ashake TV show, and the rest of you that are watching. And to my beautiful mom I saw her earlier.
The United States isn't what it was, and the Chinese and their allies have become a powerful new competitor.
The United States is not what it used to be, just like Britain. So some of you that are thinking that Britain, still have the relevancy in the world, yes, they do. But when it comes to Nigeria, they cannot dictate what we want. Yes, they are using their proxies, just like they did in 1967 during the civil war of the Biafra massacre and genocide. But this time around, it cannot happen. The Yorubas are speaking out and they are saying we've had enough of this shit-hole country called Nigeria. Yes, we still have the Yorubas that are hoping that something out of Tinubu's government will give them the life that they want. Yet, they are all mourning and complaining today, just like Igboho said in Benin Republic some few hours ago. The video has been watched by many of you. If you haven't seen it, you're probably not following all the medias of the Yoruba self-determination campaign.
And the United States is having a hard time adjusting, which I can understand. It's like the British. It took them a century.
It's like a British. It's taking them century to accept that there is no more slave trade, even though we are Japaye, spending over 40 million naira to come and study with 22,000 pounds a year university fee, which is a business center to the British anyway. Oh, you cannot bring your dependent anymore. Oh, if you apply for asylum, no, why not go to Rwanda for now? We will keep you in Rwanda. If you stay in Rwanda, then if you're successful, don't worry, we will bring you back. Why do you think they didn't go to Rwanda in the first place? What you created, the evil you created is coming back to fight you. You can still allow yourself to be used to dissolve it. But if you think that you cannot dissolve it, continue to look at me as I'm a robot. It is reality. We are not AI. We are a human being that can think, that knows that the lie that the British created is now falling apart on a daily basis. There's no amount of your plea to keep the Biafra in Nigeria. They are going home. In the next 7 minutes, I'll be switching to the Yoruba nation struggle. But for now, let's take it like that. Britain must understand, like Professor is going to say it now, your empire, Nigeria, is gone.
To realize that the British Empire wasn't there anymore. And some of them still haven't understood it.
Some of them haven't understood it, like the Yorubas in Nigeria. Even Britain understood it to some extent. Do you know why Prince Harry has fallen apart with the royals? Imagine a royal prince fall apart. Thank you so much for the super chat going on. The royal prince has literally gone haywire. Do you know what I mean by something gone haywire? Prince Harry says, I don't want to have any engagement that will represent me representing the royal family. But you as a Yoruba man, an Igbo man, or a Biafra, an Arewa, wants to hold on to the British Lugard created country. Do you know that Prince Harry told his father that I am not going to, we are not going to give you certain things anymore. Oh, don't give me anymore. Why not allow Nigeria to fall apart and then we will manage ourselves, we will keep ourselves. It will take probably 20 years to get our economy going. It doesn't matter. At least we will be proud that we are Yoruba. We will know who is a criminal among us. We will know who is selling drugs. We will know whether it's the Igbo that is creating fake drugs. We will know whether it's the Yoruba that wants to take drugs to Saudi Arabia. And then when he comes back and say, I am Elijah. Because we have criminals in everybody. Okay? So don't come and tell me, there's criminal. Oh, we are all intent to be criminal if you are given the opportunity. But the law will catch up on you, especially here in Europe. And that is why that man ran out of Milton Keynes. That man that killed those two young, beautiful girls, whether they've gone to suck somebody's is not the issue. He ran out of UK because he knew that the UK was going to pin him down as a pedophile. But he was able to do his pedophilia inside Aba because the corrupt system. If a Biafra government was in place, they would have nabbed him with a technology that says that you are a criminal coming back from Europe. We will not allow you to be among children and abuse them. You can see what we are saying because I was told that he continued to bribe the police until Afia and the other young girl, their life got caught up. And again, the police did not want you to know who was also behind that young man or the man. They do what they're buying as well. That is Nigeria for you. No justice for anybody. So when some of you are looking for justice for somebody, you will not find it in Nigeria until Nigeria dissolves. Many cases will be opened up back, but not now. You will not get justice because Delegiwa never got justice. So when some of you are crying, Dr. Chinelo did not get justice, Nnamdi Kanu is not getting justice. You might not like him, you might hate him. He's not getting justice. But we saw Abba Kyari, a criminal that should have been extradited to America, is now telling us in our face that it was even looking more fresher as somebody that should be in the prison. You will not find justice in Nigeria. It's a fact. It's good that many of you are making the noise, just like we are also making a constructive noise to pull out. So maybe at some point, those of you looking for justice for this, and I'm not going to mention name, justice for that, we will come up and then join together and force the system to come down. Then we can have a system, like Babakitoye said here, I believe he talked about, we shall craft the most appropriate constitution. The Biafra will have their constitution. Their constitution will not be written by ours. Theirs will not be written by ours, vice versa. Everybody has their own constitution, including the Arewa and the Ijo and the Edo. We will also have a Yoruba national military and security services that respect people just like they respect people in Europe. We will have a very creative step about political parties. Yes, there will be political parties, but not like the criminal APC, Egbekegbe, and the PDP. And like I said, Labour is already falling apart because that Yoruba man, that evil Yoruba man called, the one that they used, Peter Obi thought he was using for his campaign manager, went on Arise and say, or China's television say, oh, give me his name quickly, please. Says that, please. The person I believe in was Tinubu, but he was working for Peter Obi. He's 70 years old man. You can see that it is all deceit. But the obedient thought that he was one of them, but he was never one of them. So we would also have, our country shall be a land of enterprise. We will have the best immigration policy, just like the British. The Labour Party have said in their manifesto that there will be less migration. They will not allow you to come here. Probably me will still be here because I have served and I've suffered. I have lived here for a very long time. But those of you that want to come in, you will tell us why you want to be here. Let us go back and fix our own. Donyo Kukwe, thank you so much. Took some time before anybody could give me the name. Thank you, Safety Domain. Donyo Kukwe deceived Peter Obi and the obedient, stupid idiot that thought that they were pushing for something. Rather than walk towards the Biafra, they thought that they could take, the federal system and then probably use it for their own agenda, just like Tinubu is using the same thing for his own agenda. So let's come back quickly because of my time constraint. So we've talked about the Biafra war. I've given you the background. Now, let's read this column that I picked up today on the Vanguard by Dono Kobara. I don't know her, but I thought is worth letting many of you know about as well. Why is there no Biafra memorial with a question mark by Dono Kobara? I returned from Kigali a few days ago. The highlight of my trip was a harrowing visit to a museum commemorating the million of the so Rwandese people who were slaughtered during the genocide that shocked the world in 1994, a year after the MK Abiola election, that Babangida, the evil man that will never stand up back from that seat of his wheelchair, he would die, but not yet until Biafra goes and Yoruba goes and the people are free. You will be alive because the death of Delegiwa will continue to haunt you until you leave this world. And I'm talking to Babangida. 250,000 victims of that vicious Tutsi and Hutsi conflict are buried on the premises. So it is a cemetery as well as a place of remembrance and learning. Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome. As you're joining, all you can do is remember that donating to a platform like this is also, ethical, is also important. It allows us to do more, and it also gives us opportunity to remain independent so that nobody can come up and say, oh, Koiki, we just sent money to your account, but that money was coming from Bola Tinubu. I'd rather take your 1,000 pounds, I'd rather take your 1,000 naira than take the 10,000 pounds from Tinubu or Sheyi Tinubu. So what the details have been posted, it is something that you can support. Also remember that supporting the Yoruba nation struggle itself financially is very, very important. The 10 Mewa Oromiyan that we are told to pay, make sure yours are paid every month. Let's go further. In my 20s, this is the woman talking now. In her 20s, she witnessed the civil war in Nigeria, the genocide war. In my 20s, I toured the Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center in Jerusalem. Tell me where the Biafra one is right now. Nobody knows, because the federal government, especially the Northerners that do not want the Igbos at all, will not tolerate that. Maybe Tinubu might think about it and allow it happen. But that would have been done if Tinubu had given the 30th of May where the Biafra Day would have happened. Tinubu fought for June 12. Not too sure why he hasn't pushed for the Biafra Day. Maybe the next year one, we will see what happened. Trust Tinubu at your own. You know what that means. So this woman says she toured the Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center in Jerusalem, in appalling silence. It was situated on a 45-acre campus comprising museums, exhibition, momentum, sculptures, memorial site. All this is what the Igbos should have got as well in Nigeria. Not that they don't have the money that is coming from the Niger Delta, shit old people like Wike are fighting each other with Fubaru, while millions of people that died during that genocide civil war should have been given. Maybe that would change the mind of the Biafra from going. But whatever it is, Biafra are going home. It is an impressive tribute to the 6 million Jews who were murdered during the Nazi era. Where is the one for the Biafra, the 5 million? It is nowhere to be found. But they can suck their crude oil, pump it out. How you donate if you're on the international side, not in Nigeria, because your Nigerian bank account is not going to work, you go to www.ysdm.org, you go to donation, subscription. If you're in Nigeria, you can reach out to any of the media and you will get the Nigeria account where you can do your 10 naira, or if you're abroad, it is 1010, regardless of wherever you are around the world. On the May 30th, 1967, the secessionist republic, and I'm just reading based on what they say, even though the word secessionist, I don't like saying it, but I am just reading out exactly what they say, because secessionist is not what we are. We're all fighting for self-determination. But let's just go so that it doesn't look like I'm taking anything out of the discussion from this particular broadcast. On the May 30th, 1967, the secessionist Republic of Biafra was declared by Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu, the then governor of Nigeria's eastern region, following deadly tensions between Northerners and members of the Igbo ethnic group. Bear with me, my laptop seems to be playing a little bit funny, with the screen. All right, it's back. I have a very, 1 minute. Sorry about this. Ethnic group. It's just too much advert on all these platforms. Advert are too much. Come on now. All right. The Igbos were joined by some minorities from the region that is known as the Niger Delta today. And I hope I've not jumped. That's what I'm just concerned about. All right. I haven't jumped, so it's fine. Even though there's meant to be something in between, but for whatever reason, this Vanguard is just too much advert all over the place. So, unbelievable. And every time you click on it, the advert is popping up. I don't know what kind of interface is this. Messed up country. All right, let me just read as I have it anyway. The Igbos were joined by some minorities from the region that is known as the Niger Delta today. Example of the senior non-Igbos who supported Biafra as a matter of principle include Ojukwu Ibibo Deputy Major General Philip Asuko Ifyong, and my father. So this particular writer, his father, Ignatius Suge Kobara, the then Biafran ambassador to United Kingdom. So some of you don't even know that Biafra had the ambassador, just as we have our own ambassador, which is now being converted by the military, known as the Nigerian High Commission today in London. That is a money that was used by Koko to be bought in that particular time. So this particular writer, the father, as at that time, was the ambassador representing Biafra to United Kingdom and the Ogoni from the River State. I have a very clear memories of the Civil War. I was 7 years old when it started and 10 when it ended on January 15, 1970. I will never forget my totally stressed mother, Anna, driving my 3 siblings and me out of Port Harcourt in the family's gray Ford Cortina as federal troops, the enemy, I love that, advancing on the city we called home. I recall an enraged Biafran army officer shooting one by one panicking policemen who had hooped onto their bicycles and joined the exodus from Port Harcourt alongside fleeing women and children instead of staying behind to help our soldiers and able-bodied male civilians fight the invaders to the finish. This time around, they get enough men on ground. They have enough men on ground. All they just need more is to have more firepower and train them to be able to make use of it to defend their land against, Musa, the terrorist guy that is coming for them. By then, thank you so much, Babawa Sunodo. The poverty in one Nigeria is affecting those of us who have compassion for our families back there. Thank you so much for the super chat. By then, my father was in London representing the rebel government. I recall being stuck in a long queue of escaping vehicles, taking refuge in a southeastern village where the natives ate lizard to survive, and eventually being airlifted out of Biafra in the dead of the night on a cargo plane from an airstrip in a town called Huli. By 1968, we were safely ensconced in Dad's residence in a salubrious part of London. So she escaped to London. Lucky her. Even though I still feel guilty about the fact that we got out at the height of a massive humanitarian crisis. So she's feeling bitter that she traveled out of that period of time. Not traveled, they were, the war was already going on, but some people were evacuated and as at that time. Leaving so many friends and relatives and strangers to suffer the horrors of a war that wasn't their fault, which is why we are saying to President Bola Tinubu, don't allow another war between the federal government of Nigeria and the Biafra. Allow everyone to go their separate ways. Yes, we don't even have Kensariwa never got a justice, as somebody said earlier there. Biafra was the world's first fully televised war. We told you that at the Wikipedia discussion. She also mentioned it. And a very big deal. Between 1 and 3 million Biafra died, mostly from starvation. Images of horror eyes, youngsters with distended bellies filled the TV screens across the globe. Many of us heard for the first time about kwashiorkor, a form of malnutrition caused by protein deficiency. According to the distinguished US-based Igbo writer and academic Chigozie Obioma, the Biafran War of Independence was an intersane war, the scale of which Africa had never seen when it took place. Most of those who died were non-combatant. It was a singular reason for the creation of Doctors Without Borders, and it is believed that most small weapons, hand grenades, rifles, etc., were used in World War II. So why have Nigerian authorities never erected a memorial to those who lost their lives and endure unspeakable agonies? Question mark. So what the writer is trying to portray here is that if we are saying that we want the Biafra not to go, and we want to make sure that we live in harmony and peace, how come last 1967 till date, after this war that created genocide, starvation, malnutrition, kwashiorkor, being televised. Is the first war that now today I can see war being televised on the Sky and the Al Jazeera and all the other network around the world. But that started in Nigeria in 1967. So how come that no memorial has been erected? They don't even have a Biafra day. It's just to show to them that, toss off, we will do whatever we want to do. I hope Tinubu can make some amendment at least before the Biafra will go. If otherwise, whether he makes the amendment or not, Biafra have decided that they are going home and they've had enough. If you have not done a thumbs up on this program in the last 2 hours, it is time for you to just go now and help us to thumbs up. We are not doing anything that say it is important. It helps the algorithm of this program. It allows it to push. So go out of the program, go and click on the thumbs up and come back. 119 people are watching. Only 29 people have said we're enjoying it. The rest of you are probably not. I am not saying thumbs up with the comment. You need to go and thumbs up. Thumbs up means that there's something on the YouTube. You click thumbs up, not to put thumbs up on the comment section. And thank you so much for everyone that is watching around the world. I am OLAYOMI KOIKI, known as Koikimedia. I'll be talking about the Yoruba nation struggle as I finish reading this particular column. Yes, we lost the war. No, the war was never lost. It was just kept in the cooler and they've opened it back again. Another vivid memory that will never leave me is of my father waking me and my sister up to tell us that the war was over and consoling us as we wept inconsolable. But General Yakubu Gowon, the evil monster working on behalf of the British, he thinks he's old. He's not going to die anytime soon. He has to witness the disintegration of Nigeria. And once again, thank you all for those of you that are watching us around the world. And we are streaming on multiple platforms. All you need to do is find me out whenever you need to. Koikimedia is what you need to be looking for. We have a backup YouTube channel that is called WD76 Media. But General Yakubu Gowon, the then Nigerian president, promised that there would be no victor and no vanquish. And one would have thought that as time went by, the victims of this traumatic phase in our history would have been officially acknowledged. Nobody wants to acknowledge them because we don't love them, we don't trust them, we hate them. The hatred is among every one of us, and don't live in denial. I can even see it in some of our write-ups, some of our talk of occasion. However, those who have led Nigeria since 1970, there hasn't been a single Igbo head of state in the past 54 years. By the way, despite the Igbos being one of the three main ethnic groups, clearly regarded reconciliation as a dish that is best served in a misery portion. The vindictive branch of the Nigerian establishment goes out of its way to punish the Igbos for daring to rebel half a century ago, while the more benign element just want to brush Biafra under the carpet and label it as an unfortunate episode that is best forgotten, just like they want us to forget our history as Yoruba people. And I am not their spokesperson. I am just reminding you that if there can be an Holocaust memorial, if there can be a Uti and Tutsi memorial, how come there's no memorial for the Biafra? And we'll expect them not to make a full declaration when that time comes. Say that the Nigerian military will crush them. That one, not lie. Nigerian military does not have the zeal, the power to crush them. They are not going to fight conventional war. They fight conventional war. Nigerian military will kill every one of them within a space of 1 hour. It is called guerrilla warfare. That is the most deadly one. Go and read up about it. It's called guerrilla warfare. Biafra will go, whether you as a Yoruba man likes it or not. Because you did not, I am not saying we, those in charge of Nigeria did not give the room for peace since after the war. Because nobody trusts them anymore. So it's better if we just let them go their separate ways. Because we've had enough from them. But it cannot and will not be forgotten. Scars remain. As my new novel, The Road to the Country, shows, says Obioma, when a war begins, it never truly ends. It continues over generations in a small and invisible ways. This is the reason why Nigeria needs to create a monument to commemorate Biafra, not to point to the war that has ended, but one that continues in a subterranean form. Major General Effiong wound up broken a ceasefire and peace deal on Ojuku's behalf. His son, Dr. Philip Effiong, a professor of drama and humanitarians at Michigan State University, who also exited Biafra with his mother and siblings via Huli, thinks that a memorial is long overdue. The Northerners will not allow that because they are not interested in whatever happened. I will remind you, what Buhari said, that if they dare talk again, we will remind you what we did to you all in 1966. Remember that it was our Twitter locked him up, and what he did was he used his own monster evil way to shut down Twitter for 6 months. Twitter that many Nigerians were using as part of their small revenue. Buhari cares whether you are making money out of Twitter. He just locked it up. He wanted to prove. Remember I said is it red cycle he called it then? That if you dare make any noise, dead or alive, the Biafra believe is dead. I don't know whether he's dead or alive, but I saw Lai Mohammed with Buhari in Daura, according to Bashir Ahmed some few days ago. You know that Baba Lai Mohammed, that Lai Mohammed, that told us that terrorists have been wiped off of Nigeria map. Evil people. There were so many innocent, young, and elderly casualties. These people should be remembered in a befitting central location. We saw how they were remembering those that died in 1944, known as the Normandy D-Day. We saw Joe Biden flew all the way from America to attend that event. According to what I told you, that the dot circle, thank you so much, Arole Oduduwa, the dot circle. Buhari was reminding them that if you try any nonsense, we will circle you. Go and circle them now. It's called Woto Woto. Woto Woto. So, and we saw how the British, 12 other countries prepared for the Normandy D-Day. America provided 1.2 million of their servicemen and women. Only God knows how many people died. But Joe Biden flew in to say, we love you for giving that sacrifice. Thank you so much, Peter Pan. Buhari called them dot in the circle. Evil man, evil monster. And Yoruba people today now are saying, oh, Buhari has taken the love. They don't even love Tinubu anymore. We had a Yoruba boy say, Buhari literally took the love. And I'm sure within the next 6 months, Yoruba people will be happy that they miss Buhari. Buhari, the evil man that killed 29,000 Yoruba people. Only God knows how many Igbos and the rest of those in the north that Buhari allowed to be massacred. Go and ask the El Zakizaki children that Buhari killed, and as many of those that died, because they are not in the same religion. Because the Islam that you're thinking, there are two different ones. Buhari is doing one, and the El Zakizaki are doing one. Matthew Hassan Kuka is a northerner who had no personal stake in Biafra and come from an era that was anti-Biafra. He is now the bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sokoto. And when I asked him whether he thought a memorial would be appropriate, he said, if we were a serious nation, nobody would have to ask this question. It is a measure of Nigerian small-mindedness that Biafra has not been properly remembered. There should be a place of genuine record that acknowledges the victims on both sides of the war. And that is all. Okay? Yeah, that is about it. And this was put together in the Vanguard today, which you can go and read. So now let's come back to our own Yoruba nation as we continue our discussion. And this time around, I can chip in my Yoruba into Moki Bogamo Yoruba Nile, Loko ni Gugu Bitetingbawa. Àti gbọ́ tó lóye ti sọ̀rọ̀ ní Benin ní ọ̀sán yìí. Kí ló lóye sọ ẹ̀ńdẹ̀ wà ní bíbá àtúmọ̀ ẹ̀ńdẹ̀ ẹ lọ sórí Koiki Olayomi Instagram. Because mo fẹ́ ká gbọ́ nǹkan tí olóye sọ láti Benin Republic. So olóye bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ ní ọ̀sán yìí, gbogbo tí wọ́n sọ ó pọ̀, àmọ́ díẹ̀ tá a mú jáde nínú ẹ̀ is going to be discussed as we are almost 2 hours 20 minutes, and like I said, in the next few more minutes I'll be winding this program down. I'd like to appreciate everyone that have joined us in the discussion. So this is what Oloye said. Let's listen to it, as the audio has been circulated, but the real video is already on my social media where you can all listen to.
Iye nǹkan máa ń bínú wa nísìn, ó ń bínú Ọlọ́run ni. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Tó ń dé ewé òní kọ́ lára ikú Ọlọ́run máa ń wọ̀ sí. Àdè lágbára kankan lẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run.
She's downstairs. Okay. All right. Tell her I'm coming. All right. I'm going to take some time. So what I'm going to have to do, I have to play something that is a bit longer because I have to, like I said, family come first. So I got to do something downstairs. So what I'm going to do, I have something that can take us for some time. Is Babaki Toye addressing us during that interview with Abati. Let's watch this when I come back.
So, but there seems to be some confusion in Yoruba land. I see that maybe perhaps the generality of the people do not feel as passionate about self-determination. And secondly, there is all kinds of positions. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are talking about self-determination.
You don't know this. You don't know the nature of the Yoruba society. You don't. Most of the young people, and they are the majority in Yoruba land, want the self-determination of their Yoruba nation. That's the truth of the matter. That's what is keeping the movement going. And they are also doing so in the diaspora. Yoruba young men and women all over the world want their own country, separate from Nigeria. You cannot deny that. No matter how much you want to pander to the government, you cannot deny that. But that's the truth.
But anyway.
The important thing, however, and I'm surprised that you are not talking about that, is that the Yoruba people who are fighting for self-determination are telling the world and telling themselves that they will do it only peacefully. We are Yoruba. We know our status in the world. We know our status in the black world. We do not want to destroy the peace of Nigeria, and we do not want to bring difficulty into the lives of any other group in Nigeria. But we want to get out of Nigeria. That's it.
Well, Prof, you were a strong member.
And you're not talking about that. You are asking me questions. You are asking me questions as if what Onitiri did has the support of the majority of Yoruba people who want self-determination. It is not true.
Well, Prof.
She has a small minority of a section that is ready to do illegalities. A year ago, they went and attacked a radio station in Ibadan and so on. Now this year, they are attacking the entire government of Ibadan and so on. No, but we have never sent anybody to go and do that, and we do not support it or encourage it. Prof. And we think it is criminal.
Prof.
And so if they get punished for their criminality, we have no objection to that.
Prof, you are a strong member. You
cannot, because of them, generalize opposition to self-determination. You cannot.
Well, Prof, you are a strong member of the Unity Party of Nigeria, also a very strong member of Afenifere. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are now talking about self-determination. What is the difference, in these two ideological positions?
Our fathers in Afenifere are doing the right thing, talking about restructuring so that we can go back and live our own life the way we used to live it prosperously. They're doing the right thing. There is nothing wrong with that. But we, another group of people, larger in number than they, are now saying, no, self-determination is the answer, not restructuring. Why? Because when you restructure, you are still in Nigeria. The people who are coming and disrupting your life and destroying your farms and killing your women and raping your mothers and daughters and so on are still Nigerians. They still have a right to come to Nigeria. The only final solution to that is to separate so that you have a separate Yoruba country where we can make our own laws and so on, to which we admit only people we want to admit. So nobody can claim that they have a right to come to our land. They don't have such a. But as long as we are in Nigeria, no matter what restructuring is done, they still have the right to come to our land and do the things that we are doing. Nobody is talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms. I am not hearing that. I'm hearing only about government. I'm not hearing about people. You are not talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms and that the Yoruba nation is in danger of famine upon famine upon famine for years and years to come. You are not talking of the fact that the Fulani declared war on Nigeria on the 24th of January and 26th of January and said that Tinubu is not our president. We are going to Aso Rock. We will take over the seat of government there, and we will use this place to organize the conquest of the rest of Nigeria. You're not talking about that. You are not talking of people who said no Fulani man must be arrested for the bomb in Ibadan. If you do, you will have bombs in every town in Yoruba in Nigeria. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the sheer insult of living in a country where some people are treating the government like that. They are talking about Onitiri and so on. Why do our...
Well, Prof, let me ask you this. Self-determination,
you are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion, but what I'm saying is that your opinion rigorously avoids the truth. Rigorously.
But Prof,
avoids the truth.
Nigeria, as Onigo Tite told us in his research on ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, has over 300 ethnic nationalities. Will you recommend self-determination to all the other ethnic nationalities in Nigeria? For all these nationalities?
Those who want it, don't ask me a general question. I'm asking for self-determination for a nation, the Yoruba nation. There are about 60 million people in Nigeria, and their territory is large enough to be a large country. So that's what I'm talking about. Any other nationality in Nigeria that wants self-determination is free to ask for it. I cannot come and ask for self-determination for nations that are not mine.
Well, and that is a professor there. And let's go back and listen to CSI. The full video can be watched. Like I said, Mokibo Gwamo Yoruba, ni gbogbo bikibi tí ẹ ti ń darapọ̀ tí ẹ ti ń gbọ́ wa lọ lórí ètò títọ̀ sọ́ìn. I'm sorry, I can't bring anybody in because, like I said, there's a few noise already at the background. So let's just manage it until the end of the program. As you all know, it's a broadcast from the house and it's a Saturday. I've already engaged the house already too long. Let's listen to Igbo from here.
Nítorí àìfọ́sí wọn ká ọmọlé wọn pa wá náà àdìgbà tó bá wálé ayé ìkànnì tó mọ̀ sọ́ pa wá ọlọ́run jẹ́ kárí tàn rẹ̀ pa ọjọ́ tá òbí máa ń sọ ọlọ́run ló mọ̀ ní ẹ̀ máa ń bú wa ní ìsìn ó ń bú ọlọ́run tó gbogbo náà sì mọ̀ sí ọlọ́run ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ orúkọ mi ní Sunday ọjọ́ ìsinmi ni wọ́n bí mi èèyàn rẹ̀ ní bá sinmi kó sinmi láyé èèyàn rẹ̀ ní kó sinmi ọlọ́run tó dábẹ́ lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi ọlọ́mọ tó rí ọlọ́mọ ohun èrò ọkàn rẹ̀ tó fi ní wálé ayé ọwọ́ àpòlù bàbá tó jẹ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n pòfẹ́sọ̀ ni o kéèsì àtọ́nujẹ́ ó fi wọ́n ti àwọn ìṣèlú kéèsì gíìtì wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ fún ni bàbá ṣiṣẹ́ fún pòfẹ́sọ̀ ni àti ìhùn àti ẹ̀ bàbá wa ṣàdéhùn pé bí Sunday ọ̀bá bọ́ọ̀lù ẹ̀nu ẹ̀wọ̀n ní kútọ́ fún oníkòrò bàbá lè má lè ń sẹ̀ bí yàn bá gbà fún bàbá bẹ́ẹ̀ ọlọ́run nígbà fún yàn àṣìṣe ọgbà fún bàbá kí tètè pátápátá àìmọ́ ìyẹn wọ́n ti fẹ́ já gbogbo lẹ́yìn bàbá mi ò lè ṣe já torí mi ò kí jalè yẹn kábíyèsí ọlọ́run tí ẹ bá dúró tì èmi ní òkú tì ẹgbẹ́ bá dúró tì ní là dúró tì bàbá dúró tì ní ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ̀gbọ́dọ̀ ohun tí bàbá rẹ̀ fẹ́ nínú ọ̀pọ̀ fẹ́ ohun tí bàbá rẹ̀ fẹ́ ní pé gbàgbà onídìí Yorùbá kò lè fún ẹ gbogbo ẹ nínú àtàyè ló dúró tì bàbá kò lè fún ẹ. Aṣèwà wọ́n dẹ̀ kọ́ sọ ọmọ lóòkú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àní sí ọ̀sẹ̀ yẹn ojú nílẹ̀ kan wò òun bọ̀
òun yẹn máa débẹ̀ ojú ló ń kán bòjì.
ẹni tó ròyìn kò ní kó sójú ogun.
àṣẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
ẹni tó bá ń jagun lọ gbogbo nípa lágbára wọn sẹ́ o tẹ́ ẹ bá ń jagun kan lọ tó wá fẹ́ yíwọ́ tẹ́ ẹ fọgbọ́n sí kí ẹ bá lè jà mí tẹ́ ẹ bá kú sójú ogun kò ní jà mí àwọn ẹ̀dẹ́ kú sójú àṣẹ gbogbo ẹni tí máa ń kó wa ọlọ́run ni ẹ mọ̀ dà ọ́ lóhùn ẹ bá fẹ́ kú wa òun ọlọ́run àwọn òní sẹ́tò gbìyàn àdèlé gbìyàn ọ̀pọ̀ bá kú wa òun ọlọ́run òun táwa ń sọ yọ padà yé yín ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ kẹta àlọ́ ẹ̀ ọdún ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ adé nàìjíríà yìí ti finish ẹni náà fẹ́ wá pọ̀ pé a pọ̀ ẹ̀ ìdọ́ọ̀bù ẹ̀ fífúnlẹ̀ ẹ̀gbà ẹ̀kú wa ẹ̀ tí wọ́n rán ẹ̀mí náà ti ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí kí àdékò
So as we almost start bringing the program to an end, mo kàn fẹ́ jẹ́ kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá mọ̀ pé kò sí ẹnì kankan tó lè dá ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation dúró. Ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation ó ti kọjá bí ẹ̀yin gan ṣe ń rò lọ. Ìdí ni pé mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan mo ní kò sétò tá à ń ṣe táwọn bàbá wa àtàwọn bàbá wa àtàwọn ìyá wa tí wọ́n kì í gbọ́. And ó dìgbà tí àwọn tí wọ́n ń gbọ́ wa tó bá rí inú tó ń bí wa bó ṣe ń ṣe wá pé a lè wà níbi tí ìyà ń jẹ wá, because ìyà tó ń jẹ wá nínú Nàìjíríà lénìí ó ti kọjá bó ṣe yẹ lọ. Kò ń ṣe ìyà tó ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ lánàá, ìyà tó ti ń bẹ for years. Òun la fẹ́ mú final solution sí so that ìyà yẹn ò ní máa jẹ wá mọ́. Nobody can stop the Yoruba Nation movement. Kò tí sẹ́ni náà, not myself, nobody can stop it. Some of you can get tired, some of you can walk away, some of you can have your own fraction, like we saw those that have said that I want to go country to in their illusion. But one thing is, under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akitoye and Oloye Gbowosha, Yoruba Nation on tẹ̀síwájú. Month yìí, I was always thinking I was the 15th, but Baba confirmed me the end of this month is when that letter to Tinubu become an expiry. What comes out of that, I've not been told, but I believe that many expectations and many people are hoping that by the time the letter expire, we should be out on the street in a moderate way, demanding our right to exit Nigeria without any hesitation across all the Yoruba land. Yes. And I believe we not agree with Lumi, because that should be our first movement back on the street of every Yoruba town. Ká jáde, ká fẹ́ tán wá wọn pé eléyìí tí à ń sọ yo kò ṣe pé torí pé Tinubu wà níbẹ̀ la ṣe jókòó tatarata. Ẹ má bínú tẹ́ wà lórí Ibiba. It looks like the sun is hitting hard. Maybe I should move it close to me, you know. Àti wà ní British fine weather. Àbọ̀rọ̀ mi ò yé yín. So a gbọ́dọ̀ jáde láti lọ béèrè fún ẹ̀tọ́ wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá. Nítorí nígbà tí Buhari wà níbẹ̀, a jáde. Àbí nígbà tí Buhari wà níbẹ̀, a jáde. Kò sẹ́ni kankan tó dìwà mú. So kí ló wá dé tà ṣe ní wá jáde nígbà tí Tinubu wà níbẹ̀? It is time that we move out in our numbers. More than but this time around, as many people have been saying that Koiki, this is even the message I'm getting from one of our mothers here. OLAYOMI KOIKI, good afternoon. This was sent at 16:32 p.m., which is 4:32. How are you doing with your family? Thank you so much for the information. Please, Koiki, when are we going for rally? With a question mark. I think we need it anytime from now. Thank you so much. More strength to your elbow. Have a good weekend. These are many of our mothers that are out there demanding that we should be out on the street, you know, demanding for our rallies again. And it's going to come up. I am not speaking yet on behalf of our leaders, but I believe that that should be the next plan. We should not give any room again for Katumani. No. We must be ready to push out We must be ready to move out in our droves across the world, not just only in Yoruba land, which is the southwest part of Nigeria, apart from Dubai, because Dubai does not allow rallies, but they can just have like a gathering. But one thing is, it has to be planned. It has to be planned. We have to support. We have to prepare. It took 3 years for our Agbaye to prepare to go and not invade, to defend the French people in 1944. So in terms of, oh, the Yoruba nation movement is taking too long. It's taking too long. Please, it's better we get it right than failed. Because if we fail, then what is the essence of it? And we don't pray to fail. And like I said, the message is getting to our fathers, because I am receiving a lot of messages from them. Mokiba bawa lenkan si gbogbo àwọn ọba pátá nkoko lọ látọ̀dọ̀ bàbá wa Ọba Adéyẹyè Ògúnwùsì Ọ̀jájá II. Mo mọ̀ pé ẹ jókòó ẹ ń wo gbogbo ètò yẹn, ẹ wá wo bí tí ẹ ti lè máa bá Jagaban sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn. I know these are things that will be going on behind the scene. That was access, see. I have already done that already, and the message more again. I'm already on the screen. So what you learn, I'm worry. Eshegoni safety domain. Our kings, they are pushing now. And I can tell you that because there is a good communication between us and them. And I was pleased that I met Ikuba Bayeye before Iwaja, because Obokinku. And like I said, most of the discussion is not for public consumption. But now we are seeing more of our kings. Mokibabawa Oba Ilu Igboho. I had the privilege to at least have conversation with some of our kings. But I won't conscious on Sheniye in the background. I want to see our in the forefront. But I won't come one in Sale. I am telling you, a lot of work is going on. Oh, madam, we can solve for Yabi. No, about to solve then could make sense money. Tabaren to fake way. I'll leave the phone line for just about 10 minutes for those of you that want to call in. Then after that, I'll start winding up. Obawa Ben Musofunyi. When we started, we were bassifun bass. There was a particular video I made that I said, I was crying and I was bitter. But I can tell you now, our cry, our voice have got to them. Oba Bariga ti wà lára àwọn ọba tó dìde nísìn tó ń lọ visit àwọn ọba kọ̀ọ̀kan tó ń ní discussion because àwọn ọba yẹn rò pé bí a fẹ́ ṣe kú ni a fẹ́ gbàjọba lọ́wọ́ Buhari àbí a fẹ́ gbàjọba lọ́wọ́ Tinubu àwa láti máa ṣàlàyé fún pé no àwọn ò kì í ṣe kú plotter bí Buhari à ń ṣe kú plotter bí Babangida àwa là ń béèrè fún ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn a dẹ̀ ń ṣe politicians a dẹ̀ ń ṣe olóṣèlú ibi tá ti yàtọ̀ nìyẹn. So àwọn ọba yẹn nísìn they are now having discussion with some of our elite and likewise with some of their colleagues. Láti ẹgbẹ́ gbọ́ ìfẹ́ àwọn ọba tó jáde náà tó bá ṣe pé àwọn ọba wà lẹ́yìn wa ni àníri wọn nígbà tí màmá wa tí ó yà lọ sí ní ìlú Ìgbòho ẹ ṣáà rí gbogbo àwọn ọba tó wà ẹ rí gbogbo àwọn ọba yẹn tó débẹ̀ tó dúró àtọba tó dàbí rascality pé òun o those are the kind of energy. So now what is happening now is that we need to put the pressure on Tinubu's government that it needs to look into what we are asking for. It might not like it. It might be a weak element. It might be a stooge for the Fulanis. But and our bawa ló lè ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn. Kò ṣe pé Tinubu ò rí àwa báyìí. Ó gbọ́ nǹkan tí mò ń sọ. I am not joking. Kọ̀ọ̀kan wá láti Abuja. kọ́ yẹn ní agbára. Love Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Ẹ̀yẹ́ máa wọlé ṣáà kémi ẹ̀ṣẹ́ ló mú yẹn kó máa lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ó dọ́dọ̀ wọn. Ó dọ́dọ̀ wọn. Mo sọ fún yín pé every time I go live, Sultan of Sokoto, I just lọ live ni. What did they create a media section? Pé anytime tí Koiki bá ti go live, àwọn fẹ́ máa gbọ́ ohun tó ń sọ. Mo sọ Yoruba, mo sọ English o. But one thing we need to understand is that we need to prepare our mind. Ọ̀rọ̀ Tinubu kọ́ ló ń tó wà lẹ́nu sí. Tinubu kan ti wà overwhelmed already. Kò wà overwhelmed ni wọ́n ṣe ń pààyàn lọ jíyàn gbé. Kò rí kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú security, kò rí kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú economy. Àwọn tó jẹ́ èèyàn ti Tinubu gan tó endorse Balógun Èkó ọ̀rẹ́ mi ni. I haven't spoken to him now since probably over ó ti máa fẹ́ tó 2 years nísìnyí tèmi àtẹ́tútù láti sọ̀rọ̀ gbẹ̀yìn. Kò mọ̀ bá jà, òun náà bá mi jà. Self determination lèmi gbé dání. Òun sọ pé ó ní Lagos lòun bá jà. Pé Lagos tó ṣe dáadáa, but ó endorse Tinubu along the line. Ó ní Tinubu fail in economy àti security. Tinubu bá dẹ̀ ti fail nínú méjèèjì yẹn, what else? Kí ló tún kù? Mo kí ẹ̀ ń tẹ́wà lórí Mixlr. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, the pressure tó wà lórí Tinubu gan ju Nigeria lọ. Too could God punish Sultan of Sokoto. So where we are right now is to make the final push. I can tell you that the kings are with us now. Only Biafra Konkon, but majority of them are listening now. And I can tell you that they are listening. Ó fail pátápátá bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. Tinubu fail F9 ló gbà ní economy and security. Even Professor Wole Soyinka says after 1 year, but he hasn't spoken again. So we are hoping that, because we need the voice of many of them like that. And we know Wole Soyinka is with us. Oloki Igboho ní Benin Republic. He was there during the Biafra war. Even though àwọn ọmọ Igbo kankan máa ń bú Soyinka, but that's up to them. Èèyàn ti wá ní. Àwa máa pọ́nlé. Àwọn bàbá wa kankan náà wà. Tó yẹ pé nígbà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí wọ́n pè mí pé Koiki bó ṣe ń rokọ́ lórí bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Mo ní mo ní rọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ń gbọ́ lẹ́nu wọn gangan. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ máa sọ fún mi. So ẹ jẹ́ ti mú confirmation yẹn. Tí bá ti mú confirmation yẹn, màá wá jábọ̀ fẹ́yìn tí inú ilé ń bíbà. Àwọn tájọ wà ń bíbà, màá wá jábọ̀ fún yín. Because confirmation kan wà nísìnyí tí mo fẹ́ mú gangan. Wọ́n ti pè mí. Mo ní no. Mo ní mo gba confirmation yẹn. Mo ní confirmation gbọ́dọ̀ wá láti ẹni yẹn gangan. So the conversation is coming on. Ó dà pé bí a ti ti next week. Màá lè fún yín ní update yẹn. But mo lè sọ fún yín pé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn dún tọ́tọ́ lọ́hùn. Ẹgbọ́n sókè bàbá wa.
Hello brother mi, báwo ni o?
Àlàáfíà o. Mo wà lórí ètò, ṣe fi dá sórí ètò ni.
Mi mọ̀ pé jẹ́ wà láyé kó fi wà láàáfíà ni.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ̀rọ̀ later. Topic tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí tó bá yẹ pé tí ìwà òwe mo kàn lè sáré briefing à ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí what is Nigerian culture? Kí ló dé tí kò sí Biafra memorial after 35 million people were killed during the Biafra civil genocide war, then the Yoruba nation struggle. So topic mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta nìyẹn.
Okay, to God be the glory. Thank you, White Lion, for the good job you are doing. Ọlọ́run kò ní pa ẹ́ fún wa.
Àmín.
And now today, Nigeria ò ní tradition, kò dẹ̀ ní roots, because Nigeria was based on the not on the truth. You know, when ilé taba fi tọ́mọ ìrì ló máa wó. That is why àwa tí Ọlọ́run fún ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ láti ṣe ojú inú wa pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation. Ni pé tẹ́ bá wo àwọn country kan ní àgbáyé, especially tí n fi Europe ṣe example, àwọn bíi Slovenia, Croatia, Ukraine, àwọn small country, Bosnia, Romania yẹn, kò sí nǹkan tó máa ṣe láyé, ẹ máa rí pé identity wọn kì í lose ẹ̀. Bá lọ sí United Nations, 25 pé wọ́n ń sọ òyìnbó, èdè wọn ni wọ́n máa sọ. A dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé Yorùbá nation, àwa náà máa débẹ̀, a máa retrieve identity wa. Nigeria ò ní anything called identity, because àwọn tó ń pera wọn ní Nigeria, wọ́n tẹ́ bá wọn tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀, wọ́n debate ní Senate presently about pé nígbà tí wọ́n sọ pé every Nigeria has the right to do business any part of the country. They are talking about Nigerian citizens, but àwọn Fulani wọ́n ní pé màálù náà, they are citizens of Nigeria. These are more the reasons tó jẹ́ pé
It's from him, not me.
Of poor Nigeria. We have to make sure that
It looks like it's receiving.
about other tribes, but Yoruba must move out of Nigeria as soon as possible because while the man to buy data. As in Nigeria, one man was going to be a local. Our so-called legislators won't recognize him as good being, you know. So, my brother, I don't want to take your time. I go better than go all over the world. No going back. Nigeria, the Yoruba nation, Amaga, it's a matter of time.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you, White Lion. Later on one-on-one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, that is our caller. You can also call in, and add your own input as well. Plus 447404405917. The program will be 3 hours as it is right now. We are 2 hours 47 minutes. Let me appreciate all our Biafra brothers and sisters, all the Arewas that have joined, all the Edo people. And let me now use this opportunity to just say one or two to those of you that have joined us. If you want to call in now and add your own, do we have a culture? I'm sure we don't have. Moke Aluka, Yoruba Nation, Afonja TV, thank you so much. Backup TV, Eba Supporti, and one team Watuanile. Ifani Mole Aye, thank you so much. Mr. Samson Oyawole, thank you so much. Akim Ayodele, thank you very much for joining us. And again, we have a GoFundMe that for whatever reason, people probably thought it's not worth supporting that GoFundMe. It stopped at £975, and I've raised £50,000. They have £50,000. They might have to another 3 years. I don't know, but we hope that we can have more money. We can do a lot.
OLAYOMI KOIKI, the white lion of our time.
Go ahead, my brother. You're live with us.
God bless you very richly.
Amen.
Shengomi.
Loud and clear. Go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear. Connect my speaker. Thank you, sir.
Back to our question. Nigeria does not have culture because there is nothing called Nigeria. Nigeria, just like Baba Awolowo said, is just a mere appellation.
Okay.
It's a mere nickname. It's a descriptive appellation, just like Baba Awolowo said. Just to differentiate between people who live within that territory that they call Nigeria and those who doesn't. So Nigeria itself is not based on any identity. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not based on an identity. It's just like you can forward lale. You can okay, from here to this place, I'll call it this. You can call it anything. But naturally, is that what it is? So the people who are within the territories that you give a name, they know themselves. We have our culture. And we know what our culture are. And we know how we are different from others that are within the same territory. So, and the same thing with every ethnic nationality within that territory called Nigeria. They know who they are. They know how they are different from us. And so that is why if you take somebody who has never been formally educated, somebody who has never been taught within the walls of the classroom, and it is not compulsory that everybody must go to take formal education where the language of instruction will be English. So if you have anybody who has never been taught English in the classroom, he cannot communicate with anybody from elsewhere. So you realize that if you take my own grandmother and you take somebody also who is of our age to educate formally, from Abeokuta, you take another one from Ijesha, you take another one from Akure, another one from everywhere. They will understand themselves, despite the fact that they speak their indigenous dialect. Because there is none of them, and even if they have to speak their own dialect, they will still understand themselves. Even whether you are from Ekiti or Ijesha, or they will still understand themselves. They will still have an idea. Even I want to just make they want to about Yoruba, like their Kokos, if they speak their dialect, you will think they are not even speaking Yoruba, but you can still pick from what they are saying. You get what I'm saying? Now, for others, like the Igbos, we have no affinity at all. We don't have any affinity with the Hausas or the Fulani. It's very, very distinctive. And from what I read, 17 years in the Yoruba country, I've been reading that book. and I saw the description of the European woman who came into the Yoruba country, who came to Lagos, from Lagos to Abeokuta, from Abeokuta to Ibadan in 1851. And I was reading that book, and it was describing, in fact, yesterday I was reading, and I saw where he was saying the culture of the people. He was talking about the culture of the people. He was talking about the nature of their compounds, how their buildings were, how their streets were clean. She was talking about that. And she was talking about the occupation of the people. She said the major occupation is farming. And she mentioned pottery. She mentioned weaving of clothes. She mentioned blacksmithing and wood carving as the occupation of these people. You understand? And somebody is now saying that pottery is the culture of Nigeria. How? That's not the Nigerian culture. That's not the Nigerian culture. The Yorubas make baskets, the Hausas make baskets, but they make it in a different way. And they use different materials for making it. So everybody has their unique nature, and that's exactly what we are talking about. We have a country where the people did never come together to say, hey, let us form one country. This is what I have. What do you have? What are you bringing to the table? That is not the country we have. We have a country where one man just decided one day and say, put all these people together. And then they put us together just like an animal kingdom. And then everybody now begin to live in mutual suspicion. So there is no sense of ownership. How will there be patriotism? And therefore, when to back Nigeria does not have citizens. I keep saying it. And from there, you realize that 6 years after we had the Civil War, or yes, less than 7 years after Nigerian independence, we had the Civil War, which led to the killing of 5 million people, mainly Biafra. Biafra lost not less than 3.5 million people, mainly women and children. And now we have also a country that now says that there should be 3 R's. There should be reconciliation, there should be reconstruction, and there should be rehabilitation. And we did not see anything 63 years, almost 60 years after. We didn't see any of the R's, no reconciliation. Baba Wole said, how can we have a reconciliation if there is no remorse? Nigeria never had any remorse that they did something wrong. The British is never remorseful for what they did to their Biafran. Baba Wole said, how can there be a reconciliation where there is not even the slightest genuflection for reflection? Nigeria has never reflected on the evil that they did. And then we are now talking of memorial. It's none of their business. The politicians we have in Nigeria are only there because they know Nigeria is an orphan. It belongs to no one. Whoever gets there, just pick. It's just like you have a tree that has fruit but doesn't have owner. Anybody that gets there will throw stone at the fruit and take as much as they can. That's exactly what they are doing. And Yoruba is saying, because this is a failed project, it is over and over. We are done with it. We cannot continue to waste our lives and waste our destiny expecting Nigeria will be better, because Nigeria will never be good, not to talk of being better. It's never going to happen. You understand? And that is why if you take Nigeria every 10 years backward, it's usually better when you go backward. So there is no hope of it getting better in the future. There is no hope, because every 10 years is better. When you go backward, it's always better as you go backward. So the way you move forward is getting worse. And so therefore we are saying that instead of allowing a reoccurrence of 1967 experience, let us negotiate. Let's talk about it. We are now conscious that we are not one. We are now conscious that the project is not going to work. So therefore, let us sit down and let us go, so that individuals can pursue our destiny. We can choose our friends. We can decide, even if it pleases us 10 years after, we can decide to say, oh, Biafra nation and Yoruba nation and the Ariwa nation, let us form another confederation. That's up to us if we choose to do that. But for now, we have experimented it. We have seen that it's not working. It's not going to work, and it will never work. Let us get out of it. And to cap it all, my brother OLAYOMI KOIKI, I want to tell you, my Biafran brothers, and I want to tell my Yoruba brothers, that Nigeria is collapsed already. The center cannot hold. Things must fall apart. And I want to bless the lives of our kings for trying to listen and to understand where we are coming from. We are really good people all over the world. Even this name called Nigeria, if you change it, as long as that contraption remains, it will remain a failure, regardless of who is the president. It does not matter who is the president. If you bring Jesus Christ, I'm a Christian, so I'm not going to talk about Muhammad, so that people will not think it's a religion thing. It's a religious thing. I'm a Christian. If you bring Jesus Christ, at the end of the day, he will not achieve anything in Nigeria because it's not designed to work. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. Nigeria is done for. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, my brother, let us just continue with what we are doing. Things are falling apart, and we will get our freedom. It is up to the politicians. Let them continue to eat as much as they think they are eating right now. How can we be thinking of remaining one Nigeria when you want to educate your children? Our own children are going to school with our women that are going to farm, making garden, making all this, selling it to send their children to the university. And somebody is not interested in going to school. They want to be nomadic. Even they are so-called senators that are saying cows are like citizens of Nigeria. They are right like every citizen of Nigeria. So these are same people who doesn't have their own children in the bush, because that's the question we should ask them. They say being nomadic is their culture. Rearing cows, open grazing is their own culture. Where are the children of those senators? They should tell us the bush where they are rearing the cows with their own children. And we are now thinking that we have one country with such people. And some people are talking of restructuring. What are we restructuring? Restructuring my food. God bless you, OLAYOMI KOIKI.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was a very resounding, powerful one from our brother. Thank you so much, my brother Shegun Ono. Let me appreciate many of you with my mom that is live. I should have seen her. I'll try to call her after the program. Shout out to many of you on the Instagram. Shout out to Unique Ibrahim on Facebook, on the Twitter. I know as many of our silent listeners. Yoruba Nation are going back. Shegun, I've seen your WhatsApp message. I cannot love every one of you less, especially those of you that continue to pray for my family at a very, very interesting days ahead, because this movement, entails, you can see that I've literally engaged the whole family. They've gone upstairs. It looks like there's another caller coming through.
You can see that.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Mute the background. That's what I'm going.
Sir, I
do prefer long, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Just a little contribution.
Oh, yeah, you are free. The line is still open. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I just saw, let me speak in English for people who can hear. I just saw a video that sent to me about 24 hours ago in a school in northern Nigeria. They collected all the students' cell phone. What they love, the any lo atalori okuta.
Wow.
All the students, I can send the video to you. They want your cell phone. It's over 100. So they should let those who want to be living in 13th century come and live in 13th century. I want to say 21st century, come and live there. The bottom line is they don't want those students to have access to any information. That is the bottom line.
Wow. That is deep.
It's over 100 cell phone. I want teacher, I want a joke with the I want me joke with the cell phone.
Wow.
Don't bring cell phone to school, otherwise we'll see it. If by cell phone, you go to school, only after the school period. But what they feel more law, what they feel follow you, one for way, they don't want them to have access to any information. except their own information they pass on to them in school. So Konjo Kumalo, and what 21st century, all free. And what 13th century, no, all free.
Thank you so much. Wow, that is another reason why we can't, live together. Let me appreciate many of you. What the caller said was that the school in the north, the video he received, 100 mobile phones were crushed, like a powder. And you expect us to live together in one country. Let me quickly pick as many of you that have been with us and listening carefully on all the platforms so that we can appreciate you. Then I'm going to call it so that the family can have access back to downstairs because it's afternoon Saturday and they have other things to do. I would like to say thank you so much to my mom, Mr. Paul Lutumba, Yoruba Nation. We must be serious. Well, we definitely have to strategize after the whole infiltration by the Dukbonitiri and the rest. I'm sure you all know that. Safety Domain, thank you so much. Kunle Shita, thank you very much. Peter Pan, thank you so much. Let me appreciate my brother Clement. He's a Biafra, he's a very strong supporter of this platform, and many of them quietly. He's been watching behind the scene, he's been working hard. I haven't seen him and Oguchi and the rest of them, but thank you so much, Clement, for all your contribution. Mr. Sunodu, Odudua, my brother Arole, thank you so much. Babami Sunodu, Aaron Chuku, thank you so much. Chidoke, Aloma, and all the Biafra media that are working back to back. I'm always in the program watching them quietly as well. Babami Benjamin Adumati, Mumario Inibugba, Triple DRS, Ifagbe Mileke, we spoke for about 48 minutes yesterday. She was feeling a little bit tired, but I believe she's back on her feet. Thank you so much for seeing her. Ashake TV, not everybody can watch a full live broadcast. Grace Olushoto, thank you. Adekunle Oguns, Charles Emeka, the International Court of Justice is there to bear witness that Nigeria is 9 years overdue for review in regard to continuation or disintegration. Every exposed local now that it died in 2040. It looks like there's another caller coming through. Let's take that call since I am still live. Hello, caller. Go live straight. We can hear you.
Hello.
Charles Emeka, thank you so much.
So the program shared what is Nigerian culture.
That's correct. Yes.
So Nigeria doesn't have a culture. It's those the ethnic nationality people that have a culture. I will not We have our way of life, the way we do things.
Okay.
So and everybody have their own, like the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Hausas. So everybody have their way of life, the way we dress, the way we eat. We do everything. That's because they say culture is the way of life.
Okay.
So because equally imagine cow is a citizen of the country.
So why is the American saying that they are committed to preserving Nigerian culture? What do you mean by that?
Because they are part of our problem. They are part of Nigerian problem.
Mr. Michael, thank you.
Because our politicians are colliding with them because they don't want this contraption to break up.
Okay.
Because they are part of the problem. I don't only Jenny Bear. So this contraction, this Nigerian, this ethnic national could law on their own. So they are just using Nigeria as if Nigeria is just like their cash cow.
Okay. And one more question. Why is it that for 40-something years, well, almost 60 years, there was never a Biafra memorial? Was it a deliberate or was it oversight? Was it forgotten? Or is this we just don't want to remember the Biafra war?
My brother, is deliberate because that's why they cancel history in our curriculum. It's deliberate. They don't want to know where we are coming from, what has happened to us because if you don't learn from history, you continue making the same mistakes. So that is why my own prayer is just like I'm continue praying for them to continue making the same mistake. They will play into our hands. This country will collapse.
Okay.
They will play into our hands.
All right. They will play into our hands.
Because they don't want to learn. I don't pray the politicians learn from what has happened.
Wow.
I don't pray. My friend, they just continue doing more and more mistakes. Like now, they said they want to create another state for the southeast. Okay. Why can't you give people referendum? Who are you creating the state for? Who are you creating the state for? Ask them whether they want the state or they don't want. They want to go. People say they want to go. You say you want to create more states. It's not say our problem. Everybody is tired of this country. Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder, about to explode. Somebody explode. We explode with dynamite, everything. Nigeria is about to explode. Nigeria is about to explode. What everybody just waiting for, that thing that we exploded is just thing that all of us are just waiting for. It's about to explode. People are tired. People are hungry. People are angry. People are frustrated. The country is not moving forward. It's just like a standstill. If you have money before, you are push everybody into the poverty line. Nobody is happy.
Go.
So the best thing for us is just for everybody to just go. Let's break this shit whole country. Let everybody just go. But the criminal politician doesn't want that. I keep on telling people that the politicians are not up to 1%, but the time is coming because they have the backup of the military and the navy but very soon it's going to collapse in their presence. In Nigeria, they see it, they will see it no more.
Okay.
It will get down. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time.
Okay.
So, I mean,
thank you so much. Kola, I love your analysis. It's always with us on the Twitter space. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n lọ kí n kí bàbá mi Awófájìmí Adékúnlé Fáwòyè. Mo fẹ́ bèèrè lọ bàbá wa, ǹjẹ́ Nàìjíríà ní culture? Because in town sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí ní ọ̀sán yìí, as I'm already 3 hours and I should be ending now, to be honest. The embassy officer, ìyẹn ní Katrina Leg Ramos, ó wà ní Ìlọrin tí mo mọ̀ pé bàbá mi Awófájìmí Adékúnlé ẹ mọ̀ dáadáa. Wọ́n wá ní àwọn fẹ́ bá wa preserve Nigerian culture. Òun ni ètò tá à ń sọ lọ́lọ́rọ̀ ní ìní àti kí ló dé tí kò sí Biafra memorial àti gbogbo ohun tó kù. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi, bàbá mi dáadáa, brother mi Yẹmí Fátókí mo kí yín, Ọlátúnjí Table mo kí yín. So many people have agreed that Nigeria doesn't have a culture. We have Yoruba culture, we have the Igbo culture, we have other culture. Mokiami Omolokwe, only corruption is Nigeria culture. So if you're going to be watching this again, help me to share it out. And like I said, our messages are traveling. They're getting to people that I wanted to get to. And I'll be telling you a little bit more, with some of the work that some of us, there are some new calls that are coming through and they're explaining things to me that Koiki, and I want to get confirmation before I start spilling things out, and we will probably say you agree with them or not. But I have told you now that in the last couple of days, couple of calls have reached my desk from high-profile Yoruba people, and they will be ready for me to speak about it, but also few things that we've said about them as well in the past, that it is the wrong narrative. But I want to get more confirmation from those that I need to get those confirmation. As soon as I get those confirmation, I'll be out there myself. But I can tell you, very, very high profile, that we've talked about them on this platform, and they've come back to say, Koiki, into Sonye Kumaribe. It shows that the message of Koikimedia is getting to them. That's all I can say for now. We will leave it like that. But when that time comes, I will tell you. Because I said yes. Omoluabi niwa. Omoluabi to the core ni gbogbo wa. But lórí ìrìn àjò yìí, ẹ má tẹ̀ wá nírò mọ́lẹ̀. Tẹ́ bá tẹ̀ wá nírò mọ́lẹ̀, we will come for every one of you, not to kill you, but with the words that will touch you. And that is what this platform stands for. So mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí. And on that note, I will say a very good afternoon and welcome to everyone. As I leave us now, I'll be back for the Sunday broadcast, and we will close the topic that we started with this week. because next week we'll be starting a new topic. That other topic we're starting next week, Mokia brother, I'm easy as this, but they sharing in Miami. It's a very, very short one. I've already produced the audio. The audio is out in the public. Next week we'll be treating, we shall first and foremost in our Orile de Yoruba, we shall seriously revive our national character. Shani character, that links to some of the calls, not one, not two, that I've received that I say that some of what I've said on my program could rebel, but like I said, they have to come out and tell me to their ears. I want to show I want to spokesperson want me, but I want you go move basoro. I'll come back out and I'll say, Montiri basoro eyomo Yoruba, one ko rebel Yoruba nation launch, because what I've been told is that one Yoruba nation launch to the core. That is what I heard when we started in 2019, 2020, and I traveled home in 2021, and I met few of them like Baba Pa Ayode Banjo. What's so family Yoruba nation launch, but I want to societa, but restructure la mama so. I told him, let me record you that Yoruba nation launch. I want to know Musofun Obalafi no. Ikú bàbá yèyé pé ṣe ẹ lè gbà kí n gbà wọn yín so that màá lè sọ no, but there are a few things he said as well that we will just leave it like that. Mo kí Olóyè Igboho, and welcome back again to I'm sure some of you have seen the video. We don't need to say more on that. And on that note, hello morning if you have not ever supported us, maybe because you feel like it is not worth it, to be honest with you, there is enough money that needs to be used to support the media to push the message. And I'm not joking. Al Jazeera TV is funded by the Qatar government. We are the one funding the BBC through our TV license. So your £1 from 4,000 people on a monthly basis can help us, and I can reproduce as many things that can be used, not just flags. Things that, I don't even want to tell you those things. But I can't do much. So I'll just leave it like that. Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wa, forílẹ̀ ìbí wa, kàgbéga, kàgbéga, kàgbéga fàlèrè. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bàtìbẹ̀rù là bọ́ mọ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní kẹjẹ́ ká máa lépa. Ìtẹ̀síwájú fọ́pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. And if you also can leave a feedback, how has been my program in the last couple of days, weeks? Let me know in the comment section. Been trying to be very, very calm. Okay, brother, I'm easy. And I'll just leave it like that. Yoruba nation, no going back. Yoruba, wake up. The end of Nigeria has come. Bye for now.